Powered from the Perdomo Cigar Studios on the Red Stage in Indian Trail, North Carolina, and broadcasting from down under outside Brisbane in Australia. It's episode 152 of the Primetime Jukebox. Tonight we celebrate Black History Month with looking at African American pioneers in music. And as always, the Primetime Jukebox brought to you by Perdomo Cigars. Awarded Nicaraguan Cigar of the Year in 2014 by Cigar Journal, the Perdomo 20th anniversary brand has consistently earned the highest scores in the industry and is a top seller in humidors around the world. The Perdomo 20th anniversary blend requires tobacco has been carefully hand selected and are well aged for a minimum of 8 years. The Perdomo 20th anniversary is offered in three distinct wrappers: a smooth, creamy Ecuadorian Connecticut, a rich, earthy Cuban seed Nicaraguan sun grown, and a dark, oily Cuban seed Nicaraguan Maduro. Combine these beautifully bourbon barrel aged wrappers with thick, high priming binder and filler tobaccos gives each blend a balanced complexity with layers of rich flavors and smooth, elegant aromas. Perdomo Cigars is a family owned and operated company headquartered in Miami, Florida, with manufacturing and agricultural facilities in Esteli, Nicaragua. Perdomo's highly acclaimed cigars include the Perdomo 30th anniversary, Perdomo Double Aged 12-year vintage, Perdomo 20th anniversary, Perdomo Reserve 10th anniversary line, Perdomo Habano Bourbon Barrel Aged, Perdomo Lot 23, Perdomo Inmenso 70, and many more. For great tasting notes and pairing information, check out the Perdomo website at perdomocigars.com. And want to mention JRE Tobacco. The authentic Corojo leaf is one of the most robust and flavorful tobacco leaves out there. During the golden age of cigars, Cuba is the leaf of choice to make some of the world's greatest cigars. Because it's one of the most challenging ones to cultivate, it fell out of favor by the 1990s. In the Hamastron Valley in Honduras, Julio Ajaroa took on the challenge of growing Corojo from the original seeds, and in 2000, he successfully reintroduced authentic Corojo back to the market. With over 50 years' experience in the tobacco business, from growing and curing tobacco to cigar production, the Jerry Tobacco Farm has been able to continue to deliver products to market with authentic Corojo. Now, with Jerry Tobacco, Hunas and Justo bring their very own brand to market, containing the authentic Corojo leaf. Aladino is available in a wide variety of blends, including the latest release, the Return of the Aladino Limited Edition. And each represent that golden age of cigars from 1947 to 1961. They're available at your local retailer. Be sure to ask for Jerry Tobacco, a legacy that is tasted in every draw. And, of course, we want to mention Altadis USA. Elevate your humanoid Altadis USA cigars. Explore top-rated classics like the H. Upman Banker Day Trader, Trinidad Spiritu Series Number 1, Monte Cristo 1935 Anniversary Edition Diamante, and the Aging Room Quattro Nicaragua Sonata, all boasting a stellar 93 rating from Cigar Aficionado. Light up, relax, savor every puff of excellence. And finally, by Drew Estate. Dark, bold, and unapologetic. Black and Cigars of anyone but Drew Estate is an intense journey into the uncharted, deepest, darkest, and heaviest depths of Maduro tobacco. This is a masterpiece collaboration between Metallica's James Hetfield, Sweet Ember Distilling's Rob Dietrich, and Drew Estate's Jonathan Drew. The Old Maduro Black and Cigars of anyone by Drew Estate is rich and powerful, but beautifully balanced, offering tantalizing notes of leather, chocolate, and espresso, perfect for both life celebrations and times of reflection. You can find them at your Drew Diplomat retailer. And remember, all the live streaming for the Primetime Network of shows, as well as the California studios for the Primetime show, sponsored exclusively by Drew Estate. Well, welcome everybody. This is Primetime Jukebox episode 152. Today is actually it's early February 2025. You probably just watched the big game here. Will Cooper here. I am in the Perdomo Cigar Studios in the early morning hours here. And I'm joined around the world quite late at night uh, by my good friend and colleague, Mr. Dave Burke.
Hello, Coop. It's not too bad here. It's 10:15 this lovely Saturday evening
That's good. Yeah,
here.
it's 7:15 here. But we had some scheduling stuff, and we wanted to get this show in. February is a very short month, and it goes so fast every year.
Mm.
And then I take off for Pro Cigar in about a week, so yeah, it's gonna be busy. So we wanted to try to get this very important show in. So we're doing that.
Yeah, Coop's got his, morning coffee, a bit of a sultry voice by young Coop. I'm ready to go. I'm wide
Uh,
awake. I'm like, let's go.
Let's do it, man. I'm
I'm
excited.
gonna I'm a night owl.
Yes, you
This is
are.
perfect.
Yeah, but at least you don't have sun going in your face, so I kind of feel good
I just
about
have
that.
I
Yeah.
just have the flashlight on my phone in my face
Yep.
to get some good lighting.
Yep.
Um, no, but I'm very excited for the show. I'm glad we could get it in. Thanks, Coop. We want to fit it in because we always do a show for Black History Month.
Yep.
Um, and with the timing of stuff and everything, we just want to make sure to get it in.
Exactly, exactly. For sure. And like I said, it goes fast because Pro Cigar takes a whole week up in February. Then you
Mm,
have the big game, aka Super Bowl. That's another week. Kind of, it's talks 2 weeks out, pretty easy of shows.
mm.
Um, so it is a fast month.
I'm very excited to do. So in the next show, we'll see if we got any of our Super Bowl predictions right, halftime guest predictions, anything like that. If anything was correct.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I think it will be for sure. So
Hopefully, hopefully some of them will be correct. That'd be nice.
it would be very nice if some of them were correct. I mean, I actually came pretty close last year with the Chiefs win over the 49ers. So,
You were
um,
the Yep, yep,
yeah,
yep.
yeah. This year I did go Eagles, so we'll see what happens as far as, I mean, if you're watching this, you already know what the result is, as this is airing
Mm,
on Monday. So, yeah, so I think it'll be really, I'm looking forward to the game. Like I said, I'm not as
mm.
into, I gotta be, I'm not, I was a little more into Usher than Kendrick Lamar, I gotta be honest with you. So, I think everyone's gonna see if he's gonna drop the bomb. I predict if this happened, I predicted he dropped the bomb on Drake. But Drake's
Oh,
been
he
now
has to.
threatening legal action and stuff too. So
He, it's just never ending.
yeah,
That feud. I mean,
yeah,
Drake just needs to walk away at this
yeah.
point.
We'll get into a little bit when we get to music news. But if you're watching this, the show's already happened. So
Yeah,
we're talking because we're actually recording this the day before the show, the Super Bowl. So yeah.
we're in past tense. Or we're yeah, it would have
Yep.
already happened. But music news, Coop. We got the Oops is coming is slowly coming to a close. We got
So those new
I just
oldies,
put one
yeah.
up right before the show. Yep.
I
So
saw that.
we only got a couple more, and
Yep.
then we're back to new music reviews, which would be nice.
Very nice, yeah.
Um, the other thing on cigarjukebox.com, so check it out, cigarjukebox.com, is that I'll be doing much like last year and the year before. I'll be doing a feature story on Black History Month once a week for Black History Month. So I think this last week was looking at the history of African American artists at the Newport Folk Festival because I watched the Dylan movie, Complete Unknown, and it got me into looking at Newport Folk Festival history, and they have a long history of African American artists there. So
Dave, that was a
I
great
think that's
article, by the
interesting.
way. Yeah, really
Oh, thank
well
you.
done. Yeah, so folks haven't checked that one out. It really was one of your best pieces of work. I thought it was great. Because I really haven't heard that story told like much. So yeah, it's good.
No, yeah, people check it out. Thank you, Coop.
Yeah,
Um, every like they say, every month there's is Black History Month. Like there's African American artists doing great stuff every month, but it's good to sort of it's a good it's good to showcase like the history of music, like look back on some artists that might not get a lot of play. So it's interesting
yeah,
to look back on stuff. So check that out. There'll be one up month now. If you have Instagram, follow Cigar Jukebox on Instagram. Is that much like Cigar Hustler? I post a lot of the posts on Instagram, so you know what's coming up. You know what's going on.
yep. Definitely check it out. And Dave's posts are always accurate, by the way. So,
I heard they talked about that, I think, about
yes,
the spelling stuff.
they have not even they did, but not they didn't take
No,
they
but
didn't
they
take responsibility enough for it.
they
No,
touched
that's
on it though.
guys, come on, take responsibility for it. You made a mistake. It's cool. You can't sweep it under the rug, and I'm not sweeping it under the rug.
Under
But
the
they're
rug.
mad at me now. Oh, Palmer's mad at me. So
Palmer's mad at you.
he's got he's got
Shepankevich or both.
it's Palmer, and he's got a little bit of I'll say okay, I'll give him a so. when he got that, remember he's national sales manager and we covered that.
Yeah,
But when he got
yeah,
promoted
yeah.
to social media manager, I didn't cover that. And I admit I made a comment I shouldn't have made. I said the college intern thing. Well,
Oh, here we
at the
go.
time I did say we are not covering every job hire in the cigar industry. That
No,
is still true. I will not cover a social media hire. However, I
no.
have made some exceptions for some regional sales rep hires. So I
Yeah.
changed that. So like Saka hired a sales rep, and it was like the biggest news story of the week. So on yes, I have made some changes with that. So Mike, you got a little right to be upset about, but I changed it. But no, social media director was not included in those changes. So uh,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, well,
yeah.
hopefully, hopefully it won't be too bad. Shepard, by the way, I'm starting to get a workout plan going, so I need to, give me some advice on how to get swole. I'm
Oh,
hitting the
good.
gym. I'm clanging and banging.
You know,
So let's go.
I've had a couple people say, "Don't get that guy mad." I'm like,
Clanging and
you may want to
banging.
reconsider. Bang bang.
Um,
And then in your gym, just when you're doing your reps, Andres. When you're doing your reps, just Andreas.
hey, d send me your workout tips, Mike. Like I said, clanging
Yeah.
and banging. My daughter and I are doing work because she's lifting for rugby, and I'm tagging
Wow.
along.
Good for you. Good for you. That's cool. I like that. That is cool.
Clanging,
And
banging.
dang,
It
good
was
for you.
great. It's the first time I've been working out since I was like 20. So it's like,
Yeah, good for you.
Jesus.
Good for you. That's great.
She's gonna pass me by quite
Oh,
quickly, but
yeah, yeah.
that's
When
okay.
the kids start to get stronger than you, and I have now, the boys are all in that boat with me. So yeah,
So yeah, so Mike, any tips would be greatly appreciated,
yeah.
except for when you were eating like boxes of cereal. I don't know if I could do that, but but
That
anything
Stubborn
you got.
Cabbage can do that. Yeah,
He can do that because he burns it off like, by noon. So
right,
I do not.
right.
But enough about them. Yeah, Palmer will get the muscle after you, Coop. You better look out,
No, I know.
my guy.
Yeah. But again,
Um,
I can help him with spelling. So
uh, but so we did the Black History Month, which we're doing a show today. Quick Grammy rundown. I thought we'd just do a quick one. We usually do a show on it, but Cooper and I have been getting a little bit more disenchanted with the Grammys.
yeah, I think we'll
Um,
do another musical justice after Hall of Fame. I think that's
so
a
yeah, so I thought we'd just touch on the major
yeah.
winners. So I'm just gonna call them up. So we got okay. I want to know, Coop. So the winner, record of the year, not like us. I gotta say, you officially won the beef if your diss track wins multiple Grammys.
Yes,
I think you've officially won the beef.
you can't argue that.
No.
Um, and I gotta say now, I don't know what the set list was last night. Again, talking like this,
Oh, it's
but
on it.
I did say this song was going to be played.
It's
So
gotta
now I
be.
think it. Now I'm confident this is the Grammy-winning song. How do you not play
Got
it?
multiple Grammys.
Right, right.
Which does cement every time Kendrick Lamar opens his mouth, he wins a Grammy, basically. So, good on you.
I didn't.
How did the Beatles get on there? How did Now and Then get on there?
They won one for now and then on the Rock.
I don't even know how it got nominated.
I listen. I I
That's
talked about this.
crazy.
Again, they made this whole AI statement a few years ago, and but this wasn't all AI. There's, I
Crazy.
yeah.
Um,
Beyonce got robbed, I think, in this one.
Beyonce, by the way, finally gets Album of the Year for Cowboy Carter. I mean, she
Yeah.
should have got it probably for Lemonade. We talked about that when we did the Lemonade archaeology. But it's good that she finally got it. Got it for Album of the Year and Country Album, Coop.
Yes,
Got the
and
double.
she's getting a lot of criticism here in the States,
So
which I'm pissed about.
now, okay, all right, let's get into it. Let's get into it.
I'm not pissed that she won. I'm pissed at the
No,
criticism. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, no. See, I love the criticism. It's very much what I love about it is country music needs some criticism, Coop. It needs
Right.
something. It needs a shot in the arm because you can't just
It,
keep rolling out,
If you
The
watch, yeah, I mean, first of all, these people have most of these people who've criticized it have not listened to the album. It's a great
that's
album,
right.
and
That's
if you
right.
saw that performance, was it Christmas, right?
Oh, so good that performance.
That was
Fabulous.
epic.
Yeah.
You know, it solidified that was the Grammys got this one right. I'm sorry, they got this one right. But go ahead,
I
Dave. I know
mean,
you had some things to say here.
well, my thing about it is country music fans, traditional country music fans, they complain and complain and complain that people don't take their music seriously. And then they get publicity and they're like, oh, but we don't want that publicity. It's like, well, I mean, I you just can't keep trotting out, same old, same old.
You
You need to shake it up, Coop. Shake it up.
And especially they're not giving like a Chris Stapleton a fair shot here. You know, what I mean, Chris Stapleton should have a fair shot to compete for Album of the Year at some of his work. It would be
Oh yeah.
so.
But
It's unfortunate. I'm at the expense of Chris, but still, you have
hey,
someone who did very good work.
and I mean, and Chris Stapleton was doing stuff with like Justin Timberlake and like a bunch of, so I think what I think is people feel threatened by like country expanding, and I think it's good for the genre. Like you can't have it just be one thing all the time.
Yeah,
Like you need a shot.
yeah, I
So
agree.
I'm all about it. So she won those, which is very good. Best new artist. I did not see this coming. Coop Chapel Rowan.
I didn't either.
I thought for
I
sure it would be Sabrina Carpenter
I
or
thought it would be
Shabuzi. I thought
Sabrina
for sure.
Carpenter too. And I think Taylor was upset about that. So,
Hey, well,
by the way, did you
Ta-
see? Yeah,
Taylor got blanked. Nothing.
Taylor got blanked. And
Get
by the way,
out.
I know. I was just gonna say that. A little
She's
shot.
got enough.
By the way, did you see her dress? I thought her dress was adorable. They were criticizing
Yeah.
it.
Oh, it had the chain or whatever. The chain
And
was
the
a
little
talk.
chain, yeah, it was an adorable dress. I mean, I don't know if I'd want my daughter necessarily wearing that dress out, but it wasn't bad. I didn't think it was inappropriate by any means. Yeah,
Speaking of daughters, because I always rip the Grammys like, how relevant is it? It's
right,
ridiculous. Who cares?
right.
My daughter came home, her and her friends at school were monitoring the Grammy winners over their
You were
phones.
telling me about now. You were telling me
I
about this.
didn't, I was shocked.
Yes.
So, because she comes home and she's like, "Oh, did you hear Taylor didn't win any and Beyonce won and all this stuff?" I'm like, "Wow, I didn't know you were paying attention."
By the way, you got to give it up to Dave. Like this is the father-daughter relationship that he and his daughter can connect on music, like no other father and daughter I know. This
There
is
you
good.
go.
I love it. This is great.
Although I'm into Bob Dylan at the moment, so I'm not really connecting a
That
whole
may
lot
be a
over
tough
that.
one.
But
Okay, yeah,
she did come and see the movie though, and she liked the movie. So,
yeah, yeah. No,
um,
yeah, that looks great.
I'm going through the winners at the
Oh,
moment and trying to. Oh,
we have to. Go ahead, Dave. I have one I want
rock,
to talk about.
yeah, rock performance now and then. Come on, like
That was the
what
one.
is that?
Listen. I was absolutely. I don't know how else to say it. It was terrible. It was terrible.
That is terrible.
It's
Your
not.
Hackney Diamonds one.
Well, that's what I was going to talk about. That the first time the New Oldies album gets a Grammy.
There you
So it's the
go.
first time. I don't. I think it's the first New Oldies album to ever get a Grammy. Actually, I know you weren't a fan of that first track, but like I said, I thought the rest of the album was great. And it was that good. The rest of the album. And I
Well,
was
I
glad. I
mean,
was glad. I don't think the Stones ever won an album of the year or an album category. I'm not sure they ever
oh
won
yeah,
it.
I don't know. I mean, you look at the category, it's not super strong. I mean,
No, it
you
wasn't.
had Fontaine's DC, which Hector brought up. They were nominated. They're quite good.
Yeah.
Jack White's new album, No Name, is very good. That was
Yeah.
on there,
Well,
but not nothing, jumping out. Um, however, Coop, might I say though that you look at I'm trying to get to it here. Boop 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 boop. Here we go. Kendrick Lamar winning a bunch of stuff. Okay, best rap album went to Doechii. Finally,
yes. Yeah. Yeah.
woman wins best rap album.
Yeah. The alligator bikes never heal. Yeah.
And I think the only reason is because Kendrick's album dropped too late. or else it'd be in there. But
But
that's
Kendrick could go
okay.
next year. He could go next year. Yeah, it was a big win for Doechii. Yeah.
I endlessly rip them for not having women in the category, and a woman wins, so that's very good.
You
I am
know,
happy
we
with
we
that.
ripped the Grammys a lot, and basically I said this year I'm done. They did a better job this year than previous years, is what I'll say. It wasn't. If I had to give them a grade, maybe a C plus, I'd give them. That Beatles pick
Yeah,
really killed them in my book.
that
So
is just bizarre.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, people think Beyonce winning country album is bizarre. I mean, the Beatles get that is, I
I
mean, far more, in my
I
opinion.
think of the albums that were nominated, and I actually after that Christmas performance when I really went and listened to Cowboy Carter, I'm like, this is a really good album actually.
Oh,
So
it's a very good album.
it would be a great album archaeology candidate just for our audience, by the way.
It's an extremely interesting album because she sort of has sort of what you consider your classic hip hop R&B, but then there's some very traditional country songs on that record.
Yeah, there is.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, and there's a couple tracks I will say is not very traditional, but you know it's a lot. There's a lot of music on that album, is what I'm gonna tell you.
The one issue I have, and because it was a weaker category, I always look at the reggae album because
Yeah.
I like reggae. The problem with I have Coop is the winner was a various artists album,
You lose me. You know they
which is
do that.
like
I don't even
don't
why.
know if that's what it's meant for. Do you know what
You
I
know,
mean?
listen, no, I don't think it is, and I even had a little problem with Saturday Night Fever being nominated years ago for it. But I get it was I can live with that because it was still BG centric, right? But yeah, I don't get it. I don't think soundtrack or various compilation albums have any business. I think there should be a separate category for that, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I think there should be the best compilation album of the year and or soundtrack, something like that. I would do, but I don't really like it normally.
because like a compilation album, like by definition, you have all these artists. It's hard to say. I mean, I just don't think it's a. I just don't think it should be up for that.
No,
Like you should celebrate.
yeah,
Yeah.
that being said, it's not a bad album. That reggae album,
No,
it's not a bad album.
but it shows the weakness of the category if you can't
It's
have an artist get it. If you need to have,
yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I know Evolution was really good. And then
yeah, it's just odd.
yeah, but I don't want to say I even love that nomination either. I think
Reggae the last couple of years. I mean, there was like reggae for me, and Nick Melillo probably knows better than I do. But it seems to go in these waves where one year it'll be like really strong, and the next year it'll be like, you know, kind of weaker, and then it'll be strong again. It kind of goes up and down.
yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, I think, and then I thought Reggae got a good shot in the arm about 5 years ago with Sting and
Mm,
Shaggy doing that album, which
You
was
had
an amazing.
Shaggy, had
Yeah,
uh, Pyramid do it. Coffee's got some. So there's good artists come out of there, but like,
yeah.
uh,
Shaggy has two wins.
yeah,
He doesn't have a lot of nominations. He's had 8 nominations, but if you
no,
get two of eight, it's not bad. It's a
hey,
25% hit. That's not bad at all. Yeah.
take it.
Um, I just think he's been a little more of an innovator. I mean, I get he's not pure reggae, but I think he's been an innovator and he's been a good ambassador for reggae, is what I'm saying.
Oh no, so yeah, so I mean, that's a sort of rundown, Grammy rundown.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I mean, I think it was a good year for music. I don't know if that's reflected in the Grammys as such, but
It wasn't. How did Billie Eilish do? She didn't have a big
she
night.
got blanked too, I think.
For what I thought was a better album than Olivia Rodrigo, who I thought had a better album. Seemed like they were blanked. So I don't know. I think the Grammys have moved away from the young female singer. Although, they had your girl, Charlie was on there, right? But
Yeah, but she won maybe like performance or something.
right, right.
St. Vincent won a couple things,
Yeah,
which is good.
yeah. I,
Um,
I, I thought last year they overboarded it with the female. I know you were thrilled with it, but I thought it was a little too slanted
Really?
last year. Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, John Batiste was the only male artist nominated. But
Yes, it
I also get it
was.
was a weaker year for male musicians last year.
I
So
just don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, glad Beyonce got it. That's kind of the main takeaway for me.
yes,
And that's the Taylor Swift didn't get any, which is
Yeah.
also a takeaway.
Yes.
Which is she was up.
Yep.
It wasn't like she wasn't up for a lot. She was.
Yes.
So that was interesting. I mean, this album was a good album. It's not her strongest, I don't think, but it was good.
It was
I
good.
just don't. I
I,
just think that with Beyonce, with Cowboy Carter out there, I just because that album is far better. So
you know,
I just think it was too
I
strong
thought they might
competition.
do something stupid, like give Cowboy Carter album of the year, but blanket in the
Oh,
country category.
well,
That would have been the
that's what they
worst.
did
They
with
would have
Sabrina.
really killed if that happened. Yeah.
That's what they did with Sabrina Carpenter. So Chapel Roan wins Best New
Yeah.
Artist, and then Sabrina
It,
Carpenter and Chapel Roan are in another category, and Sabrina Carpenter wins. It's like, well, which one?
the
Which one
way
is
the
it?
way I would love to see it done, Dave, is do the categories. The winners then go into the album of the year category, and then if you want to throw a couple of wild cards in there, go ahead, right? So
Uh,
best
yeah,
country. If you win best country, best rap, you're in the album of the year. You have a shot at album of the year, and then if they want to throw a few wild cards in, I'm like, okay, okay, but that's the way I would do it.
I think the problem is, and we've said it before. It seems that no matter what, for certain bands and stuff, they'll just get them a Grammy however they can.
So and,
So
and the Hall of Fame is now doing the same thing. They have this category where they could get someone in
yeah,
that they
just
want. Yeah.
throw them in.
They
But
throw 'em in
you know,
I get. I don't have a problem with the Lifetime Achievement Award. I think that's a good thing to do. And I
yeah,
remember they gave it to the Stones, who were getting shut
yeah.
out for years. And yeah, but yeah, I don't get. I mean, and this Beatles
Nice.
thing is like,
But that's how it is. And so you give it a quick rundown.
yeah,
If there we go, you can dig into the winners and stuff
yep.
if you like. But I guess I mean I don't know. I didn't think it rose to having a whole show on it,
I
to be
I
honest.
didn't think the performances were anything spectacular this year
No.
either.
Oh
No,
no.
it was very. I actually was very disappointed with the performances this year.
Yes.
Yeah, I
I
do
agree.
think Taylor Swift needs to sit down when everyone else you can't stand when everyone else is sitting
Ah,
Taylor. I'm sorry.
especially when you're like 6'1" or
I
whatever
know
she
you like
is.
Sabrina. I know yeah, that if everyone's up, I have no problem with it, but I think there's a little rule. I mean,
She's tall.
she's tall. Yeah, yeah. I gotta pick on her for that. I'm sorry, Dave. I have to pick on her for that
Hey,
one.
that's fine with that.
Yeah,
I think she can handle it.
yeah, yeah.
So okay, so that's that. So you can check that out. And the last bit of news I got, Coop, is Dolly Parton
Yes, big
has we've been
news.
talking about her musical endlessly, like
Right,
casting and this
right.
and that and everything. It's finally announced when it's going to premiere, and they're premiering it before Broadway. They're premiering it in Nashville in July 2025.
Yeah.
So taking it home to Nashville, premiering it there, which is really interesting. And that was announced, I don't know, a week ago. So it'll premiere there and then move to Broadway, and then over time move internationally, I would imagine, much like her 9 to 5
Yeah.
musical did as well. So yeah, so if you're around Nashville, you can check that out. That'll be cool. Um, yeah. So yeah, I got the Dolly news, got the Grammy news. There's not a lot of music news, to be honest.
No, I mean, it was,
Um,
like I said, the Grammys, and now the halftime show's starting to get some buzz as we head towards the game, which is tomorrow for us, or it took place yesterday for our audience. Yeah,
I can't. I love the halftime show. I wonder what they're gonna do next year because I think they
yeah.
gotta shake it up, shake it up.
I think they got to move away from hip hop next year. And again, I have no problem with giving hip hop a shot and everything, but what is it, like 3 of the last 4 years have been hip hop now.
Yeah, I'm just wondering who they'll do. It'll be interesting.
I still think Dua Lipa is gonna get this shot. I
I,
think it's a good shot. She's gonna.
I wouldn't mind a country one. Country's hip now. It'd
They're
be
gonna,
interesting.
they're not gonna do country. They
It'd be
deserves it.
interesting.
I agree. Like
But
again, yeah, I
could you
agree.
imagine, right? A country one, but you have Chris Stapleton and you have Beyonce and you have, the chicks or something. Like you just have like just the most eclectic, just get everybody. I don't think you could have one country artist carry it. I think you need to do a couple.
I agree. That's what I was gonna say, and I know you came up with. I know you were talking about this concept at when we were
The
doing our prediction.
90s.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
90s.
yeah. But I think it
Um,
would work. I think it would be beautiful. Now I forget where the Super Bowl is next year.
I don't know.
Yeah, I want to say the Super Bowl
If it was
is.
in like Houston or something, that'd be cool. I mean, I don't know if they
Yeah,
do it there anymore.
I think it's California it's in.
Ooh.
Levi Stadium, yeah, Santa Clara. I mean, you have a lot of
Ooh.
California artists you could do with this, so yeah,
That'd
that's
be that'd
that's an
be
easy,
interesting.
but they don't do local artists there. That's the other thing I really don't like them. I think it needs to go local.
Yeah,
That's the other thing.
be interesting. Um, so that's that for music news. Developing Palate's review of the week.
Yeah,
I saw the Mastranza Toro review. They love that cigar.
I think they had it on their top 25 somewhere. It wasn't their
They
number one.
did.
They like the
No,
Cro-Magnon better. Yeah, we talked about that.
they love it. I am warming to it. So I
Hmm.
had it right when it came out, and I've had it in different flotillas. Uh, I just ordered the one that they liked, which is this Toro.
Yep.
Um, I really like it. I think it might need some age on it, Coop.
Hmm.
Maybe that's why I seem to be liking it more now than I did when it first released. And I think it performs better in the bigger sizes because I had like the short, and I just wasn't getting a whole lot off it.
See, Dave, this is my issue with Cigar of the Year. Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. Let's
So
do it.
I haven't smoked a cigar, so I can't make the assessment. But this is a general statement.
Yep.
These sizes you're talking about were the late October, early November,
Yeah. Yep.
and it's showing up on lists. However, when I talk to guys like you and I've talked to some other people, the feedback's been the same. Not quite there yet.
Yeah.
But this cigar is like landing on list after list after. I'm not getting it. But I'm here, like I said, there's people I know and trust, and I'm not trying to disclaim some of these reviews. At least DP reviewed the cigar, is what I'm gonna say. So
Yeah. I hear what you're saying.
some of the people put it on lists and they don't have a review to back it up. I'm sorry, I'm not getting this.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
this is why I have a problem with late year releases making lists. Yeah,
Yep. I hear what you're saying.
I haven't smoked this, so I can't. I don't want to pick on this cigar. But I'm just saying that's my rationale there.
No, I mean it's a good point
Yeah.
because you get a cigar late in the year, you get the same cigar early in the year, they're going to be different.
Yeah. Eric, I love you. You're the most notorious at doing that on Dojo, by the way. You're terrible at doing it. I love you, buddy, but you gotta stop doing because he's very but let me respect Eric. He's always respected for the most part the calendar year, you know. He took a little liberty with the H99, I'll say,
Hey,
but
well,
but
you
but
got to have
he but
liberty
I understand
sometimes.
he stuck to his guns on that. So but that's why I could really open criticize anyone who puts a late release on there. Is it really there? Has it really?
Yeah,
Because who knows? That thing could really develop, and next year,
I think
like
it's gonna.
Paladin de Saka was a great example of that. That cigar got so good, and it made my number two cigar. So yeah,
I think the Mastranza next year is going to be lights out. Like I think it's going to be great because every time I've had it later and later, it's been better and better, you know.
yeah.
And I think in the bigger sizes, I think it performs a lot better than the smaller sizes, which is why they really like this Toro. I mean, I even like the 60, which I'll talk about later, but I think what it has, even though the flavor, for me, the flavor is better and better as time goes on. What Skip has gotten right and what he gets right in all these cigars, which I love, is his balance between strength and body is really, really good. Like he has such a great balance. Like they have good strength, but they have rich body. Like they're just such meaty cigars that I love them.
Hmm.
And this will be no different, I
Right,
imagine.
right.
Um, so yeah, but yeah, it's they had that review. I'm gonna be checking out the Toro later. They really liked it. Um, and I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, it scored really high on their list. The Cro-Magnon PA is what won it. Anthropology won it.
Which baffles me
So
also because none of them had that cigar high, but somehow it won. You know,
yeah,
it's
unless
because
it's
of the
like
way
the
that
average or
they
something.
do a mini consensus is what they do, so they weighed out the positions. But it was still
Oh,
surprising because I didn't. This is some of the problem with doing that, and I think Aaron's aware of it. And I don't know if they have a better way to do it either. But it was a squad they all liked, but no one loved.
I hear it saying.
Yeah. Where I
Yeah.
hear, you can talk to Aaron loved the Casada 50th. Seth loved the Event Horizon by blah.
Yes, he
Yeah,
did.
so I mean that was the difference with that. Yeah,
Oh, I do love the Event Horizon.
I do too.
Pairing of the week, Coop. I had the Roma Mastranza 5 by 60, which I really liked. And that's why I'm saying it's performing better and better and better in the
That
bigger
is that
ring
the paper
gauges.
bundle one? That one
Uh,
half wheel? It's the one with the ribbon, right?
no,
Oh, okay, it's not. Okay.
no, that is a special. That's a it's a limited, I think.
Okay, yeah, that's what I
I
thought.
haven't had that one.
Yeah, okay.
This is the main. This is the like core line one,
Right.
5 by 60 with the yellow band,
Right.
which I love the font on the band, by the way. But no, I smoked that and preparing for my uh entry on cigarjukebox.com. I listened to the Freedom Singers, We Shall Overcome,
Nice,
while
Dave.
having the Mastranza.
Nice.
What pairing did you get, Coop? What did you have?
Well, they talked. I think I messaged you about this, right? So, not the song, but the song I did, yeah. So
Mm.
I smoked the Sin Compromiso Selección Number 4, which is
Mm.
the Robusto size that Saka came out with. Now, I love Paladin de Saka. Sin
Yes.
Compromiso is not been my favorite line of that, right? But
Yep.
I have to review it. I start now. Let me just say, I got to talk about how this review went because it's going to play into the
Here we
song.
go. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I actually ended up pairing this like because I started thinking of this song as I'm smoking it, and then the second time I paired it. Right, I actually
Yep.
played the song while I'm smoking the cigar. Started out great, right? It did. It started out great. I'm like, this is a really nice cigar. Like,
Yeah, here we go.
then something happened on the way to heaven, and it went downhill. And I'm like, what the hell just happened here? Right? This thing just went right. And it got me thinking. I'm like, so that was my pairing. It's a Sin Compromiso number 4, and there's something happened when they have Phil Collins. I started thinking, you can actually take a Phil Collins song and you can take almost any Phil Collins song and make it a cigar ranking, right? So I'm gonna do that on developing palates. Every time when we smoke a cigar, now I'm gonna give you the Phil Collins rating on it, right? But yeah, something.
Nice.
But I'm like, it did, right? And then I'm reviewing Rocky Patel Gold Label the next day, which I already did the pairing, right?
Oh,
Same thing. Started out
really?
great, and then something in the final thirds with Akabe. Something happened on the way to heaven. And I really started listening to that. It's a great song, by the way.
Oh
It's a
yeah.
nice live song you'll hear too. You got some of the horns and everything in it. Yeah, so that's on the But Seriously album, man. So
If
that pairing is something happened on the way to heaven. Yeah,
if you're a Phil Collins fan, right? Which Coop is?
I am a Phil Collins fan.
There's there's a live Phil Collins record coming out, and there's a live Genesis record coming out.
Yes,
So you're in for a treat.
yeah, they are, and Phil is a great live performer. As well. I've seen Phil. Well, counting Phil and Genesis, I've seen them 6 times.
Mm.
But perhaps
Wow.
one of the greatest concerts I ever went to, was Phil Collins and the Hot Tub Club, which was his band that year in '85 at
Phil, you
Radio
got to
City
work on
Music.
the names there, my
Yeah,
man.
yeah. But Radio City Music Hall, he did Radio City Music Hall, and it was my dad really came through for the tickets for that show for us too.
Nice.
Because that was a tough show. It was one night only. Yeah,
Oh, a bit of
and
one night only. You gotta love that.
yeah, and it was an amazing show. Yeah, it's because Radio City's it's probably one of the greatest places to see a concert. It's intimate. There's no bad view. The acoustics are great. It's hard to beat Radio City. And yeah,
Mm.
what was really cool, Dave, okay,
Yes.
was they were like in the afternoon, and I played a little hooky from school that day.
Here we go.
Got there early because we knew Phil Collins was filming a music video,
Oh,
and
nice.
he's up on the not on the roof, but terrace or something at Radio City, and they're filming him, and that clip was used in the Take Me Home video
Nice.
later that year. Yeah, so so that was really cool to see that as well. Yeah,
Um, oh, you were just reminding me like going early to concerts. We were lining up for the Paul McCartney concert
right.
when he played Brisbane, and like time's going by, the doors are supposed to open, they still haven't opened. It's like half an hour later, and people are like, why are the doors opening? And you could hear Paul McCartney doing sound check. It's like, well, that's why it's not opening.
There you go. Yeah.
If he's got to finish his sound
Yeah.
check. Hurry up,
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah.
Um, Cigar News Coop. What do we got?
We got some cool news this week. It wasn't a heavy week, but I'll say a few things. If you're an Espinosa Guy Fieri fan,
Ooh.
Knuckle Sandwich 57 is now was announced and released. Espinosa is very the way they do most of their releases, with the exception of PCA, is they announce it when they're shipping.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't I will tell you I don't agree with that approach. I think you want to build the excitement up.
Bit of buzz. Yeah.
They don't do. I think they miss out on that. Yeah, I think they miss out on that. I think. Now they've been successful. I get it. But I think they should do. But they did it. And I know they want to have like the release perfect and stuff like that. So like I can't. I don't disrespect. But yeah, it's the same blend as they've done for the last couple of years. It's the Guy Fieri birthday cigar for his 57th birthday. It's a oval press, which they've done good with the oval
Yes.
presses. Five
Major
and three
loves
quarter by
Overpress. Yeah.
55. Yep, San Andreas blend over Nicaraguan binder and filler. A lot of boxes are gonna be available. There's 1,700 boxes. That's a lot for Espinosa
Okay.
at
Well, that's
$16 a
good.
cigar. Yeah, so I think you'll be able to get this cigar, which is good.
The 56 was so good.
The
I love that cigar.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
The
these knuckle
56, yeah.
sandwich, they have two limiteds a year at least. It's the birthday cigar, and then they do chef special,
The
and
chef special,
you
yeah.
can't argue they're doing great. And the oval
Oh,
press, I think, it was an AJ staple for a long time, and I really great that Espinosa is including that now in their blends.
I saw there was on the on Espinosa's Instagram, they had Eric and
Guy,
a guy at some event. Guy was smoking a 601 Blue. Good
I
taste,
saw
guy.
that. Yeah, I
Good
saw.
taste, guy.
Yeah,
Like that.
yeah. I watched the diners, drives, and dive-ins.
Yes, I saw that episode where Eric was on it.
Yeah, I saw that one. I don't watch it that, but I saw one they did with Andy Reid, the coach of the
Oh,
Chiefs,
really?
and they go to this barbecue place in
Oh, in the middle. Yeah.
Andy takes them in there, and holy cow, I've never seen barbecue before. I think it's called Pig Witch, right? And they make these pressed pork barbecue burgers, and I mean they're massive, and Andy Reid's just like pounding them down in
Oh, he
this.
would. You gotta love it.
Yeah, so but it was really good. I actually said if I ever go to Kansas City, I'm going to this place. It looks really
Hey,
good. Yeah,
hey, you
yeah,
gotta.
yep, yep.
Um, what other cigar news you got, Coop?
Um, I'm always into the classic brands. I've always been loving classic brands. And this year, Romeo Julieta's got a 150th anniversary cigar coming out. Um, Here's what's really cool about this release. Is Altadis, they're a big company, but they're not really known for being farmers. Okay.
Yeah.
So they work with agricultural partners. And what they did is kind of they took tobaccos from different agricultural partners, and they're putting it into one blend, right?
Oh,
So,
wow. Okay.
so they have an Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper that they actually sourced from AJ Fernandez because he
Mm.
gets it and then he kind of processes it, right? They got a Mexican binder from the Turnt family, which is very known for Mexican. They got Dominican tobaccos from Jose Mendez, which has been one of their big growers, and he brings the Puro Kiko seed in. And they get the Peruvian and Honduran tobaccos from the Plasencias. So they put it all together, and it really looks like a cool release. The Romeo 150. I hope it's good because it's gonna be $25 to $28 a cigar. But I'm pretty
Well,
excited to
yeah.
smoke. I'm pretty excited to smoke something like this.
Mm.
To me, like as much as I try to not talk about wrapper binder filler as much anymore, it's hard not to talk about wrapper binder filler with this release. So
Yeah.
this is gonna be a now
All
Pro
right.
Cigar. Okay.
Mm.
They're gonna have the cigar at Pro Cigar, but I'm not gonna be at that one because it's gonna be at the La
Uh-oh.
Romana piece. And long story short, if I had known the La Romana they were gonna do this at La Romana, I would have made. 'Cause the problem is it's in another city, and I'd have to fly into another city in the
Oh,
Dominican.
yeah.
If I had known about this, I would have booked my ticket for that. I'm not blaming anyone, but it's kind of disappointing. So I won't get to see it, but I'll get to see it at PCA. So I'm pretty excited.
There you go.
Yeah. So and then the biggest news of the week was that Saka hired a sales rep.
Yeah.
Go,
Right.
go. That's what I was just talking about. Saka hired a sales rep, and like I'm telling you, I never saw so many people. Like I think that story, Saka hiring a sales rep, beat the Romeo and the Espinosa story.
Oh,
I,
jeez.
I actually think it did. And Even on Coop, I was like, okay, he hired a sales rep. He hired an employee. Good. Like big news, right? And media
Yeah,
guys who don't normally cover news, they ran right to cover. They because it's soccer, you got to cover
Saka.
it.
Yeah.
Well, congrats.
Hell,
And
yes.
we
Oh,
and I made an exception. This was one of the ones I made an exception on. Some sales reps. So Mike can. But no, I'm not making exceptions on social
if
media hires. So
hey,
yeah, 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 yeah,
the Saka makes news, man.
yep.
He
So that's what. Yeah. So that's what we got this week on that.
nice. Well, what are we smoking?
Um.
What do you got?
I wanted to smoke like a Sean Williams Cohiba. I just wasn't happy with because Sean Williams is he's a great African American cigar guy. I mean
Yeah.
but the problem is I think the cigar just felt a little dry to me this morning, and I didn't want to do injustice to that cigar. I
Yeah.
don't know why the humidor. Um, it was in an auxiliary humidor, so
Right.
I didn't want to use it. But I am going with the Fratello Navetta.
Ooh.
Boxer size. So Nevada is it has that space shuttle kind of
Yes. Yep. I've
thing.
had that. I haven't had it in that size. I've had that cigar that line before. Or that
Yeah, and
yeah.
it's good. And the Boxer is the box press torpedo, which he does. Omar the Frias does a box press torpedo in each of his lines. That's kind of a
Ah,
signature size.
nice.
Oh, so I'm gonna fire this one up. I just love the space shuttle coloring on it.
Oh yeah,
It's a little hard to photo, a little hard to photo, but
it's a
yeah,
great band. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I can't wait to fire this one up.
I got a cigar I have not had on the show that I haven't had in a very long time, and it's the Padrón 1964 Anniversario.
What size is that? Is that the Diplomaticos?
Yes, it is, sir.
Yeah, it's a good size. Yeah.
I haven't
You
had
know,
a cigar
it's
in
funny, we
so
haven't done a
long.
lot of Padron, and I did Padron a couple of shows ago with the 40th. So it's funny how we haven't done a lot of Padrones.
No, usually because they're too expensive for me.
Yeah, well,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah. But even
you got to
especially if
bust out a good cigar for a special show, so I'm
yep,
very excited for this. Haven't had a Padrón in a long time.
exactly, exactly. So
I'm excited for that. Um, got it from Cigar Hustler, as a matter of fact.
yes.
Who we'll talk more about
And by the
later.
way, they don't know how to spell George Padron either.
I'm
G
gonna.
E O R G. No, G. I can't spell it either.
Yeah, you
G
can't
E
spell. What's
O
going
R
on?
G E. No, it's not spelled like they sent out this email, right? Like pretending it was from George Padron, except they spelled George Padron wrong. They spelled it with a G.
Hey, do what you can. All I know is
I'm
they
gonna
had the
get them.
cigar.
I'm gonna get them a spelling book. I am gonna get them. I'm gonna get each of them a spelling workbok.
Get them a
I'm gonna
speak
buy.
and spell.
That's gonna be me. I'm buying them a spelling workbook, and I'm gonna send it to them. I'm gonna
Do
send
they
it down
make
to the
speak and
Scar Hustle
spells
job.
anymore? Get them a speak and spell. Do they make
Oh, I
speak and
mean, I want to
spells?
take. Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, yeah. Maybe speak.
That'd be nice.
They cannot spell these guys.
Hey, get them a speak and spell, and Pravada can do a speak and spell cigar. They can put it on the band.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, I can get them some Crayolas, and they could do a Crayola cigar.
They
Yeah. I think they
could.
did. I think someone did a Crayola cigar. Yeah, I'll get you guys some crayons for the spelling and everything. So yeah, I'm gonna make this happen. I'm gonna step
He's
up and
gonna.
get.
You're gonna.
Maybe if I can find a good deal on a speaker spell, I'll be
You're
generous.
you're digging a hole there, Coop. Anyway, um, so
They don't
we're
listen
going
to us. They
with.
don't listen to us. They don't cover Cigar Coop News. They don't listen to us. Why
That's
would
all
I?
right. Hey, they're big time.
They're
They got
big
like
time
a
now. Yeah, they're
whole.
all half wheel samplers. So
They got a whole
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
They're big time. Um, and much love to their big timeness.
No,
So
listen,
keep living it up.
that catastrophic failure was a great cigar last week. That cigar got a one more night rating. It got the one
Ooh.
more because I'd smoke. I wanted to smoke another one. I actually have it, but I need it for the review now. So
All right.
it was very good.
Request
That cigar.
more.
Yeah, I got to give them. That was excellent. I was
I got
telling the
some.
DP guys about it. I'm like, they did a good job with that cigar. Yeah,
Oh, they did.
yeah.
Um, so we're doing African American pioneers in music. The reason we went with this theme, or I went with this theme and pitched it to Coop, is you can cover a bunch of different genres, some good history, and kind of talking about how it fits in with wider music. So I thought it was a good chance to explore artists we haven't talked about in a
Yeah.
while,
Yeah, I think
explore
this was great. Yeah.
different genres. So I guess the way I went at it, Coop, is I tried to touch on different genres. Even though I'm going to talk about artists that I've talked about before, I tried not to talk about too many that I've spent a lot of time on, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I try to showcase artists I may not have talked about a lot. So that was how I approached it. I mean, how did you sort of approach your
Um,
list?
I took the word pioneers and I took it literally. And I
Yeah.
said, who are some of these foundational African American artists that I can look at and they say when I use and I can use that word foundation where people built on what they did
Yeah. Yeah.
or how it contributed to things down the road. So I have a lot of pre 1970s stuff today, which is I normally and
Nice.
I
Yeah.
don't I think I only have one thing. I think I have one or two 70s or 80s things. That's it. But a lot of the stuff was stuff that I really looked at and I said, okay, they did this. Here's where how it contributed. Here's how it kind of went to the future with that. And I came up with
Nice.
artists that we haven't done before. I think there's like three. Most of them are ones I haven't covered personally
Mm,
before.
mm, nice. Well, I will kick it off. I don't know if we've talked about this artist or not,
Yep.
but I have the group Death, which and I have the track Keep on Knocking. So this was an African American band kind of leading the way in metal in the 70s. They didn't put out a lot of albums. I think they only put out like two. But it's sort of seen as one of the first punk bands in the US, came out in the 70s in Detroit. We're sort of kind of had that Iggy Pop and the Stooges type sound, Coop,
Yeah.
that Detroit rock punk sort of sound. Um, they're a great band, influenced a lot of punk and metal moving forward. Their albums have recently been remastered. So if you haven't heard of them, you can get these remastered versions that they sound pretty good. So I recommend if you're into like punk or metal or anything like that, you gotta check them out. So check out the band Death. Keep on
That's
knocking.
a dentist themed death. Yeah.
But it's yeah, I mean, like I said, with the remastered albums, the sound's pretty good. So they're pretty it's pretty well done now. So you can check it out and get a good sound out of it, which is nice.
Yeah. That is yeah. I always like when a remastered album comes out like that. Yeah.
Mm, mm. Kick us off here, Coop.
All right. I don't think we've ever maybe we mentioned this guy a few times. Um, I went back to 1962, and the first artist is Sam Cooke. Sam
Nice.
Cooke died way too young, tragically, by
Mm,
the way. He was killed. He's murdered, right? At like age
yep.
30. I think he was like 32 or 33 when he died. Um, and it's kind of funny. I always remember like I was up late at night as a kid, and they'd sell these like K-tel records, and that's when I first heard of Sam Cooke, right? Because he'd always be on these K-tel records for some reason, right?
Mm,
But he is really considered. He had the nickname the King of Soul Music. He's considered the really one of the founders of soul music. I think there's a couple of other people who have claim to that. But what he did is he integrated this gospel and doo-wop style together. So he came up through those roots, right? And it really the I think the fusion of doo-wop and gospel became what was soul music, right? And I think then soul music evolved into like what we know R&B, funk, etc. And we'll see
yes.
it.
Yep.
Um, but this style, it like Sam Cooke was it influenced a lot of things. Like I said, it would influence music. This style was really that foundation that influenced R&B and even some of the African bands were like looking at what like guys like Sam Cooke were doing, like and they started integrating some of that stuff in there too. And then a lot of music became part of the civil rights movement as well. But this song that I picked is "Bring It On Home to Me," right? And a lot, if you listen to this song, a lot of people will say this was a very much a primer for what soul music would become. And it's one of his signature songs for sure. You've heard it, and it's got again that gospel doo wop fusion comes in there, and like I said, Sam Cooke just did not. Who knows how great his career would have been? I think he would have had a very long career if he had lived longer.
Amazing vocal, like just
He
killer
was such a
vocal.
good-looking guy too. He just um yeah yeah.
Great pick, great pick. He'll
And
come up with an artist that I'll pick. I have as well, but great.
okay.
Sam Cooke is best. I love Sam
Yeah,
Cooke.
yeah.
Um, I'm gonna stick with punk. I'm gonna
Ooh.
stick in the 70s and 76, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And Trippy Trent. We might have talked about this band
I
when we did
think
a
this
punctual
came up on
trip.
one of the shows.
May have. Bad Brains,
Bad Brains.
which is a band from DC. So the track I picked is Band in DC, is the name of the track.
Hmm.
Um, one of the few African American punk bands. They're not a ton. I mean, Zach De La Rocha fronted a punk band, but there are not a lot of African American punk bands, and they were very influential and extremely talented. I mean, they're probably inspired by Death because it kind of came out a little bit after them. Um, could move from punk to jazz to reggae, like they're very talented.
Yeah.
But if you listen to their sound here in 76, like it is a carbon copy of what's going to happen when the genre explodes in the 80s.
Good point.
So
Yeah.
they're really laying down for me the framework of that sort of 80s explosion, like with Minor Threat and Dead Kennedys and Black Flag and like all those sort of, I guess, foundational punk bands, or when people think of punk, those like 80s bands.
Yeah.
They really laid the template down for that, and they were very influential band. Bad Brains, yeah.
Good one. That's a good pick. That's a really good pick, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, they
Yeah.
kind of get
I like
lost a
that.
bit
They do.
because they kind of were a bit before that 80s explosion, but really laid down the framework for that, I think. And they've been
Yeah.
around for a long time. Like they put music out for a while, so they were around for a while.
Yeah. That's a good one. I got an excellent pick. And it kind of fits in like what, I wish I had that one. Not that I'm mad he took it or anything, but because it fits into what I said. This is how the African American
Mm.
artists pioneered certain things, and give Bad Brains a lot of credit on that one. Yeah, that's
Oh
like a
yeah,
yeah.
and it really holds up today. Like you ever listen to it today? A lot of sort of the skate punk that you hear now is patterned after 80s, and so it sounds like Bad Brains. Like I mean, it's kind of a timeless sound they have, really.
Very true. Yeah,
Ooh, so you see Coop's next like block here is just fantastic. It's like gold standard here.
I went back to the '50s with this one,
Ooh, I love it.
and the artist is Louis Armstrong, and the song is an absolute classic, Mac the Knife.
Oh yeah.
Now, Mac the Knife is not. It's a song that was around for a while. It's about the knife killer in the London underworld, London England underworld. Um, Louis Armstrong somehow gets hold of this song, and he's known he's a trumpeter and all that, with the horns. Um, and he's got that gravelly voice, like that gravelly
Yes.
voice, right? With that horns and that gravelly voice, what he does is he popularizes Mac the Knife, and he makes it into he takes it to the next level. Here's an African American musician who took this song to the next level.
Mm,
Louis Armstrong came from that New Orleans jazz world, right? A lot of people in music history will say if there wasn't jazz, you wouldn't have rock.
yeah.
A lot of people will say that, even though they're very
Yeah.
different. You look at some of the early rock artists and their ties to blues and things like that. But Louis Armstrong, I think, was this. I think this became a very key element of that. I'm not. It wasn't a rock song like he did by any means, but Louis Armstrong's music was very influential in when we got into some of this doo-wop and stuff too, where they
Mm,
started. If there
mhm.
wasn't guys like Louis Armstrong, you would not have. But Mac the Knife became the song like we know it today because of Louis Armstrong. So I think it's an important one to put in here.
No, great pick. I mean, I think a lot of those artists back then, like Louis Armstrong and other artists that had sort of like kind of partly that big band sort of jazz era, kind
Yeah,
of get forgotten. So that's a great pick.
yeah,
Love
and
that
he
pick.
lived he lived a nice life. He
He
died
did.
like to 69 though. It wasn't like he could have lived a little longer, but if 69 is better than 32, 33, right? So
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Oh, good work.
yeah,
Good pick. I am jumping to like current.
okay.
So I have a band, which is actually just a woman singer, called Backwash. And there's an X in between back and wash. Backwash, the name of the track is I Lie Here Buried with My Rings and My Dresses. So my first note here is what do you get when you mix hip hop, death metal, and feminist themes? You get Backwash. It's like this hip hop, like death metal. It is just, and I mean, so she was born in Zambia, moved to Canada, and then was around in the U.S. Has sort of been around kind of everywhere. I mean, like I said, a true pioneer in the death metal space. Like you have a African American woman singing death metal and like, and really going for it. Like if you're a death metal fan, like you will like this song. Um, and a lot of genres you just don't think of African American artists within that genre, and death metal is one of them. And I mean, metal in general, really, but no, she kind of paved the way with this new form of death metal, and it's kind of, taken off. She's done quite well. So yeah, Backwash, bit of the death metal here, Coop.
Yeah.
And she really goes for it, man.
But
Like you
yeah,
listen
I
to the
know
song
this
and
is
you're
good.
like,
Yeah, again,
Jesus.
Dennis with the more Dennis Zhang music. Yeah,
Yeah, check it out. If you like death metal, check now. She doesn't do death metal on every album. She's very eclectic, so she'll mix genre. But this song is very
yeah.
death metal.
Dennis is the death metal guy on the Coop team, by the way. So he's
Dennis,
Chip's
check it
partner.
out.
Yeah.
Check it
So
out.
yeah,
Oh, I'm gonna listen to it after the show, as a matter of
yeah,
fact. Um, so yeah, I've gone punk and death death metal.
yeah.
You, we're gonna talk a while about this next artist, I think.
We have a lot. Yeah.
Oof.
Um, I want to say this one. I don't have the exact year of this one. But let's say it
Be like
is.
30s, would it?
It's. I wanted to say 40. I should have this one. But the artist is Billie Holiday. The song is All of Me.
Mm,
So what Louis Armstrong did with jazz, from the male perspective, I think Billie Holiday did from the female perspective. Now, ironically, Louis Armstrong also did a version of this song, right? But again,
oh yeah.
Billie Holiday took this one forward. And her voice was incredible, right?
Oh,
Yeah, she was like what she was doing for jazz music in the 30s, 40s. Just, um, it was just incredible, right? Died way too young,
mm,
44, died broke,
yeah.
right? Like he had 70 cents to her name, died from cancer, and was arrested like days before she died and placed under house arrest for narcotics. An absolute tragic story for someone who's very, very good there.
Oh, I mean, I love Billie Holiday. I love her vocal. I love that you have her. I mean, if you think of the bravery of her,
Yeah,
she, I mean, she was in like abusive relationships, which is probably why she, had narcotics to like survive the relationship she was in. Um, but also she's singing songs, Coop, like Strange Fruit about lynchings and stuff
I thought about yeah, it was
as
good.
a solo African
Female art.
American woman artist in like the 40s. I
Yes,
mean, that's pretty brave.
she was, and it was so many songs to pick from, and I picked one. Eh, it's amazing, yeah. What she did for look, and Diana Ross played her in the
Mm.
movie. There would not be Diana Ross if there was not Billie Holiday beforehand. That's what I'm
Oh,
just
there
saying.
wouldn't be. I mean, how many artists wouldn't there be without Billie Holiday? I mean,
Oh my
really?
goodness, yeah. And the other thing that Billie Holiday did is she well, again, it was a lot of foundational stuff. She did raise some foundation with some, which I think you see a lot of elements of pop way back then. The swing music that she did was
Yeah,
something like very underrated as well.
but just like the themes in her music around race and gender, and I mean, it is
Yeah,
for her to be singing that at the time she was singing it
was
is
yeah,
brave beyond belief,
right.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of respect for Billie Holiday.
Yeah,
It's
an absolute
incredible
found
what she
yeah, an
did.
absolute foundational artist in this case. Yeah.
Oh, great pick.
Yeah.
Oh, Billie Holiday. Love Billie Holiday.
I
Mm.
said I said what a yeah, and you should see the movie. It's really good.
It's
Uh
the
Lady Sings
and
the Blues.
I know she had like a really tough life, but it's that depth in her voice, Coop. It's that vocal, it's you can feel the emotion in her voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like the
and
depth it had.
she had this like gift to improvise a lot too, and not just in live recordings, but in she was known to do that in the studio as well. Um, so you know, she really was, like I said, an incredibly talented
Ooh,
female artist, for sure.
incredible. I'm glad you picked that. She's amazing.
Amazing. Yeah, we don't do enough of her on this show. Yeah.
Love
You
Billie
brought
Holiday.
up some songs. I'm like, why didn't I pick that song? Why didn't I pick that? I'm starting to think about it.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you can
Yeah.
explore her music, people.
Exactly. Exactly.
Um, I have a female artist as well. I have Whitney Houston
Whitney.
with How Will
Whitney.
I Know?
How will I know? That dress,
And you
the
know,
dress in the
like you're saying
video is
with
what I
Billie,
remember that. Yeah.
yeah, like we were saying with Billie Holiday, probably inspired by Billie Holiday. I mean, and Dionne Warwick and others. Um, the reason I picked Whitney Houston is like before Mariah and Beyonce, there was Whitney, and she really paved the way for the solo African American woman like pop icon,
Yeah.
right? Like paved the way for this sort of pop superstardom,
Right.
you know, that I guess like Michael Jackson had, you could say, but a lot of African American female artists didn't have at the time. I mean, maybe Janet, but not to the same level as Whitney Houston had. Um, you know, also had a tragic life as well, but really showcased this like superstardom. And I just think for how successful she was, I think she's still quite underrated. Has iconic performances from like the national anthem to her records. Just really, I guess when you're looking at a pioneer in the pop space, it would have to be her, I think.
You know, yeah, this is a good song, and this is really one of her earlier songs. She, when I first heard of her, she was an unknown. She had not come out with the her first album even yet, but she was paired with Teddy Pendergrass on this song called "Hold Me," which was his big comeback after the accident he had, like and her voice on "Hold Me," like everyone just was mesmerized by that voice.
Yeah.
And you're hearing this voice and and Teddy, who I was a big Teddy guy. I'm like, but like, who is this? Where did he find this person, right? And something, and look what happened. She became, like you said, she paved the way. In the '80s, she probably was the challenger to Madonna as far
Oh
as the
yeah.
female
She's
artists. Yeah,
huge.
yeah. Mariah was, I say, more of an, Mariah was '90s, but yeah,
She was
yeah,
huge.
huge. That
Um,
was absolutely, yeah, huge. Yeah.
here we go. Here we go. Oh, this is a foundational person here.
Yeah. This is another jazz artist who I think helped bring in the mainstream. We're going to Nat King Cole, and
Ooh.
the song is absolutely one of my all-time favorites. It's unforgettable. Um, Original is this an Irving Gordon song? Actually, I didn't even notice when I was researching it. The original title was Uncomparable.
Oh,
But Gordon's music company asked him to change it to Unforgettable. It was published in 1951. Cole would cover it several years later, which was very, we always talk about back in the 50s and 60s, everyone covered everyone back then.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What he did with this song is he brought this orchestral quality to the song. Like his arrangements of this song, um, and it had this like jazz orchestral fusion to it, right? And his voice was so, I don't want to say it was the smoothest voice, right? I don't want, but it wasn't a grovelly voice, but it was somewhere like kind of in that the perfect spot. And his voice just with this orchestral maneuvering going on, the orchestral sound, it just popped. And again, now you have a guy who really, which is why like 30, 40 years later, they can make a version with his daughter and it still
Yes,
stood. I'm never a fan of that artificial, but that was good.
I
The
think I
Natalie
remember that.
Cole version, yeah.
Mm,
There's a couple of them, but that they did that one well, and in fact, it connected with people. 30, 40 years later, it shows how important Nat King Cole and another guy who died way too young.
yeah.
Nat King Cole, I don't think he made it to 50. Uh, so that would and I don't know how much his daughter knew him. He made it to 40. Again, he died. These guys died way young, 45. He
Oof.
got sick.
Mm.
He got sick. Yeah,
Nat King Cole, though, I mean,
yeah,
just the vocal. I love Nat King Cole.
yeah. Uh, yeah, and his it will be actually it's what's kind of weird. Um, February 15th. It was is the 60th anniversary of his death.
Right.
But he had a big. By the way, he had a lot of chart hits. Nat King Cole.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, you talk about a guy who's starting to bring this sound, this jazz sound into the mainstream. That's what I mean. Nat King Cole's he had a very strong track record. Is what I'm saying with commercially, yeah.
No, great pick.
And
Oh,
he was involved with civil rights. And another guy involved with civil rights and everything. Yeah. So this is a guy. Again, I think he's foundational for sure and a
oh
big
yeah.
contributor to music and beyond. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, great pick. I
Yeah.
love it. And underrated. People don't, I mean, people just sort of think of him around Christmas time, I guess, but he's tremendous.
Yeah. And it's sad we lost Sam Cooke and Nat King Cole in a span of like 3 years. Yeah.
Mm. Well, one artist, I've talked about this artist before, but she featured on the Beyonce album,
Yes.
and that's Linda Martell, who
She
was a
has a song
pioneer
on. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
in the country music
Yeah.
space. Bad Case of the Blues is what I picked as her song. Didn't do a lot of records, but was very influential in the country space, kind of moved from soul to country. And she had this like soulful yet twangy vocal that was just so unique and interesting that it was just so great to listen to. She's on the Cowboy Carter track, Spaghetti, and I just love her vocal coop. It's just so interesting,
Yeah,
and I
it's a
love it.
she. Yeah. Like I said, I was really glad Beyonce paid homage to her.
She did. I mean, that's the one thing on Beyonce's album. She's got a lot of country icons on it, and to have Linda on it shows that she did her homework. That she wasn't
Absolutely,
just like.
absolutely. And I could, and she's in her 80s right now, Linda, right? So she's not.
Hmm.
Again, if you haven't heard, like, if you want to knock the album, said, I don't like the album because of ABC, and I think this album's you want. I mean, I even saw Fred knocking the album, and I'm like, come on, Fred. I mean, Fred Rui. I'm like, listen to
Oh,
the
come on.
album. And then if you tell me you don't like, I don't think you listen to it.
You gotta. I mean, she had Linda Montell on the album.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's big time. So I went to country. I think your next artist. Did he do a country song? He may have.
Not really. Well, no, I just put this guy probably more R&B.
Oh well, yeah, but I think he did one. No one.
But he did, yeah. And this guy's a multi.
Oh yeah.
you know, the artist is Ray Charles. The song is "Hit the Road Jack," right?
Oh yeah, of
I've had
course.
I met Ray Charles. I was about 10 years old when I met Ray Charles.
Really?
Yes, I don't know if I ever said. Long story short, my dad had taken me Father Sunday in New York City, and he got a phone call from CBS Records. We need you to pick up Ray Charles in Brooklyn and bring him to Manhattan. I know it's your day off. Could you do it? My dad said, well, I got my son with me. Uh, and they said, no, no problem. Bring him. So my dad's like, don't ask him for an autograph. He was just like, he said, he was very, my dad was very, because again, this was his job and he didn't
Oh
want,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he's like, and I knew I was old enough to understand why. And he's like, don't ask for an autograph. And he'd never met Ray either, so that was the. I did get to meet Ray, and he was cordial to me, nice. He was more wanting to keep to himself, but I never felt like a cold feeling from him either. So, yeah, it was.
Right.
So I did meet Ray.
Nice.
Yeah. But "Hit the Road Jack" is such a good song, right? It's like Percy Mayfield's song. If you watch the Ray movie, right, they use this song perfect.
Right.
Ray's girlfriend's like telling him to hit the road, right, in the
Yeah.
movie. And I think it's a little bit semi-autobiographical, this song.
Mm.
Foundations of R&B come out of this song from doo wop again. So this was someone I think more became more classic R&B with this, right? Some people say Ray Charles is also one of the founders of soul music as well. Um,
Right.
so there's one other I'll talk about as well. So, but Ray Charles, you can't underestimate the influence this guy had. Billy Joel revered him, okay? He did a song he did the Baby Grand song with Ray Charles. He wanted to do a song with Ray Charles in the worst way. So they come up with this
Mm.
song called "Baby Grand." It was on the Bridge album in 1987, right? And then and then In Excess
Right.
gets with him, and they
Really?
on the Full Moon Dirty Hearts album, and they have the In Excess, and they have a song called "Please." You got that? It is a great thing, and here's the thing. Um, Michael Hutchins, okay, went to Ray
Oh, here we go.
Charles, and he says, I want you to do this in the Michael Hutchins types of style.
Oh, pff,
Like, so he says, I want you, and Ray's like, I'll do it. And so Michael's singing a line, and then Ray kind of responds singing a line in this Michael Hutchins. If you've ever, it's a great track on the album actually. Wow. I mean, Michael Hutchins, singing line, tell him Ray Charles, this is how I want you to do it. And Ray's like,
I,
I love what you guys do. Um, yeah, like I said, Ray Charles was so in again. When a guy like this can influence you, you get the Billy Joel's, In Excesses, and just stand on his own. And then a biopic film comes out, it's epic. Yeah, Ray Charles is absolutely just a foundational artist in my book.
nice. Love that pick.
Yep.
I love Ray Charles. Love Ray Charles.
Yeah, I to me this the that he had a voice too.
Oh
It wasn't
yeah.
necessarily a gravelly voice, but he had this Ray Charles, like you know it's Ray Charles. You
Oh
you
yeah.
you there's and I think people like anyone if you would just say sing a couple lines and you may not know the song, but it was Ray Charles, you know it's Ray Charles. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I I am going far away from Ray Charles.
Yep.
I have NWA and Straight Outta Compton.
Look at the influence of this album. I mean,
Oh, like
just so
so
many influences with this album. This is a good pick.
it totally changed hip hop. Now, to say, okay, what they did is so you had we kind of talked about it before with hip hop, and there wasn't a ton of we did it when we did in 1984, just our last show. And we were talking about Run DMC. Now, Run DMC was moving away from the Sugar Hill Gang type sound into more, I guess, socially active, like tracks about race, like Black in the
Yes.
Crowd,
Yeah.
like stuff like that. And what Public Enemy and NWA will do is just like turn that up to 11. They will
Yeah.
just and Public Enemy went far more into the social activist, like down with the government, you know, white supremacist government structures, like attacking that, which is their name, the Public Enemy, and Chuck D, and I love them, and their lyrics are amazing. And NWA took it, and they took so in 1989, so they took that, and they took what Run DMC was doing, and they took what punk was doing, and they're like, hey, let's put them both together. And one of your artists is sort of does something similar, which we'll talk about. And they're like, but let's focus instead of focusing on the government, let's focus on street level and let's really amp it up and look at the social problems for African Americans in the 80s in the city where where we're not getting support and poverty and drugs and they had a real sharp aggressive edge to it.
Yeah.
And I think it sort of was very punk rock in a way, and it changed hip
This is a
hop
really good. This
forever.
is a great analogy you've done here. Yeah.
Forever, it changed it like overnight, like this
It,
record.
the other thing it did, it didn't create we talk about East and West Coast. It didn't create it, but it put
Mm,
Compton on the map as
yeah,
kind of one of these cities where hip hop city. I don't know how else to put it. Yeah, but it kind of just the name put Compton on the map. I mean, the only time I ever heard of Compton was on Sanford and Son beforehand, right?
that's right. But
And
it
Watts, but they talk about Watts and Comp, but yeah, here it was like it changed the perception of the city of Compton right now. Where wow, look at what's coming out of here right now with NWA.
and I think too it gave African American artists that are seeing these issues going on in their neighborhoods like an avenue
Yeah,
to like speak on it at a time when like the 80s and stuff were like, hey, everything is great. And then in the 90s, things started to kind of go down. And that's when this music sort of took off and they were like showing um, the other side of like the people that didn't cash in on the 80s, essentially.
yeah,
Um, and punk was sort of doing the same thing. Like Dead Kennedys on the West Coast were doing the same thing.
yeah,
Like here's what's happening to the people
yeah,
that didn't that Reagan kind of left behind.
yeah.
Um, and it was just and like I said, like overnight, it just changed music forever.
It did.
Um, and it would never be the same. Like hip hop would never be the same
No, I
after
know.
that.
Definitely. And you talked when you were starting out, you talked about how Sugar Hill Gang evolved to Run DMC and how it became more, rap became more evolved, and rap evolved. It's
Yes.
not just spoken words. Now there's a message behind it. Yeah.
Well, it's sort of like if you took punk too, like you had metal was a reaction to sort of like disco and stuff.
Yeah.
And then punk was like, well, what if you take metal and just amp it all the way up?
Yep. Exactly.
And hip hop was like, what if we took the Sugar Hill Gang and just like turned it to 11 and just
Yeah.
like ratchet it up?
Agree.
And no, it's
Yeah.
I don't think you can understate like how important that record was.
No, it's absolutely a huge one. Yeah.
Who do we got? Who do we got?
By the way, that did
Who do
well. I think from what I remember in the Battle of the Bands, that album. It went, I think, deeper.
Oh, it's iconic.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Your
Uh,
next artist too is doing like the same thing, but in sort of like
yeah.
soul music, really.
Yeah. I guess it's soul. Yeah. I mean,
Or like funk soul.
funk soul. Yeah. They kind of all have branches into it, right? The artist is Curtis Mayfield, and the song
Ooh,
is
ooh, ooh.
Freddie's Dead.
I love
This
this pick.
song is absolute genius.
Oh,
It now Curtis Mayfield was always a socially conscious artist,
yes.
and he started out in the 50s with a band called the Impressions during the Civil Rights Movement, and that's what they did. They did a lot of music with that, right? and later he goes in and becomes a solo artist, and he continues that. And this is a song about a guy named Freddie. He's a junkie, forced into pushing dope,
Yep.
because of a debt that he owed to the dealer. And I don't like. I've heard people say, "Well, it's an excuse." No, he was talking about a lot of things. Look, a lot of people in these
Yep.
ghettos and these slums. This is what happened. All right, this is what was happening. I remember watching a show. Remember the show Good Times?
Yep.
Okay, there's an episode where the guy Jimmy Walker character is forced to join a gang, and that was things that went on. I'm just telling you, this actually
Hmm.
went on. All these things they were forced to, and I'm not making excuses, but unfortunately, this is what happened a lot of times. Um, and this song, I think it was a little prophetic with Freddie Gray, 40
Yep.
years later. Um, but I don't know. Curtis Mayfield does not get the respect that he
Mm,
deserves. I mean, of all the artists we talked about, these guys have and women have had respect. I don't know why Curtis Mayfield is not. I mean, I believe he's in the Hall of Fame, right? But we don't talk about Curtis Mayfield enough. Kurt Smith from Tears for Fears actually named his band Mayfield. Kurt is Mayfield. That was kind of a spin on it, right? But otherwise you just don't hear about Curtis Mayfield. And he died. Another guy who died young. He didn't. How old was he when he died? He was a little older. Okay, he was 57. He died at my age. So
whoa.
yeah, yeah. But he did. Like I said, the impressions are. I think it's the impressions that are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Dave, the word I look at is he did what's called psychedelic soul. Right? And
Yeah.
this song got a psychedelic element to it, with the whole or psychedelic funk, however you want to put it.
Mm,
But he was also an amazing songwriter. This guy, an amazing guitarist. He played piano as well. He was producing. Just to my opinion, I don't know why he doesn't get the respect he deserves.
no, I agree. And he was doing what we were just talking about with NWA doing. Like he was turning the focus on the social problems around him and drawing attention to it. Like, hey, we want to lump all these people like Freddie as like junkies, quote unquote,
Yeah,
and just like cast them aside. But they're part of this larger issue that, isn't getting the focus it should. Like
yeah,
we're just throwing these people out and they're victims themselves and like and yeah, and he was doing what like NWA would do later. It's really looking at social ills of of marginalized people that people just didn't want to face really.
yeah,
Like and he was, oh, his music's tremendous. No, I agree. He's very underrated,
yeah.
Curtis Mayfield.
And by the way, this song "Freddie's Dead" was part of the Superfly soundtrack.
Yep.
He gets nominated for Best R&B Song in '73. And see, this is where I think there's a little musical injustice, right? He loses to the Temptations, who covered "Papa Was a Rolling Stone." The problem
Yep.
is that was a cover, right?
Yep.
And I don't. They do it. This is nothing to diss the Temptations. They were great, right? I don't know how this loses. Like this song is so. It's such an important song, and I don't know. I think is just the most underrated artist of the African American artists I've ever seen. He's so good. He's so talented. He was so talented. So
But that line you have, pushing dope for the man, like that is,
yeah,
I mean, that's where it's all at. I mean,
yeah,
that's the song right there. I
it
love it.
is, and it is. And like Freddie just was Freddie. Curtis wasn't afraid to sing
No,
about these things, and again, right in the middle of the whole civil rights movement too. Yeah,
it reminds me a lot of like Gil Scott-Heron was similar.
I almost put Gil Scott Heron on this list, but there's always room
Yeah.
for another show, right? So, uh,
Oh yeah, there is. Gil
yeah,
Scott-Heron is
I
so
mean,
good.
yeah, and when you watch, I know people criticize the Many Saints of Newark movie, right? Um, Gil Scott Heron's music's key in that movie, actually.
Mm,
So yeah,
mm.
yeah,
No, I love that pick.
yeah.
I am loving your picks, Coop.
I love
I'm
yours
loving
too.
it.
I mean, you have had some great things that I learned tonight. Just especially some of the stuff you've done around punk has been yeah,
Well, let's get back to Sam Cooke and a woman. that was very close to Sam Cooke and covered some of his songs, Aretha Franklin. And I had to think
Yeah,
as, and Aretha Franklin is near and dear to my heart
I know.
because she's a Detroit woman, and a lot of my family on my mother's side is from the
Well,
Detroit
I
and
like the Pink
Dearborn
Cadillac.
area.
Freeway of Love is my song. Yeah.
Woo! So I love Aretha. Um, but you know, took gospel to the next level, inspired artists like Dolly Parton, Whitney Houston, Janis Joplin, many others. Janis Joplin, Whitney, and Dolly Parton like went to her shows. Um, what, and I think so. So she started as sort of gospel and soul, and it's a phenomenal voice.
She
And
came
then,
out of that.
like,
Yep. Yeah.
after she came out of that and came out of the church, she then took on, I think, after being with Sam, do some stuff with Sam Cooke, she took on more social activist civil rights themes, and then
Yeah.
it kind of morphed into like feminist themes, and it was just
Yeah.
really, she became really socially active in her songs,
Yep.
and it was taking these feminist and civil rights themes to the masses, which is a big evolution from like her gospel side,
Yeah.
I guess. American Treasure, some of the best vocals ever,
Oh
Aretha
yeah.
Franklin.
You know, Influenced so many artists down the road. Even George Michael. He does an
Yeah.
an
Yes.
epic duet with George Michael. I knew you were waiting.
That's great.
Jo-
That's a
Wait,
great duet.
yeah, wait. George Michael's a young, guy from the UK, and he's like, I want to do this song with Aretha.
Oh,
Um,
that
yeah,
was a big song for both of them, really.
it was. I think it went number one. And it was just, I just love the whole back and forth vocals that they do, and it's an odd couple, but it worked so well.
He's so good.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, he's a lot. It's great when, and Lisa did live a nice longer life. Too,
Yeah.
which was good.
Oh, oh, just great music after great music. Who do you
Yeah.
got next to your Coop?
I had to put Prince on the
Ooh,
list,
ooh,
right? I
ooh,
had to
ooh,
find a way to
ooh,
put Prince on the list.
ooh.
Um, and you have to talk about, you have to go to the Purple Rain album.
Yep.
It's such an influential album. It's the album that put the Minneapolis sound on the map, which is really this fusion of all these, the R&B, the funks, the psychedelic, it was all rock all in there. Um, but I picked a song that I think sometimes gets overlooked on the Purple Rain album, and it's "I Would Die for You." Um, and it was released as a single. Now, this is how I interpreted this song, musically. Prince took funk into the 80s with this song.
Yep.
It's kind of, he would do some stuff with George Clinton later, right? Which was more classic funk, right? But this was more an 80s kind of sound of where Prince took that in there. He put a synth thing around it, right? Which
Yep.
I don't really think we had seen done, where you took this synth vibe and and this we just did the show on 1984, right? And I kind of overlooked this song. The more I look at it, I should have had this song on here because this was a great example of the music in 1984. And Prince kind of updated a funk sound. You could argue it got a little dated, yeah. Um, and then if you watch, I don't think you've seen the Purple Rain movie yet, right, Dave?
No.
Yeah, you have to see it. This song is one of the later. This song's kind of towards the end of the movie, and how it's used. And how it kind of fits into the whole story. And I won't spoil it, but very well used you have a soundtrack song being used correctly as well because it fits in well
Yep.
with the movie. Yeah, so I had to put Prince on it because Prince did so many things. I was trying to think, well, what can I put in that Prince did? I thought about Kiss with acapella, bringing acapella back, but I went with this one because I thought updating funk into the 80s. And another guy who died young, he didn't make it to 60,
Mm.
unfortunately. Yeah.
He, because the other thing with Prince, because I think Prince is underrated, because I think people underrate how great of a guitar player he was.
He got the respect later in his career is what happened after that
Yeah.
Grammy performance for Harrison and the
But
Super Bowl. He was maligned
oh, that
for
Super Bowl
about 30
effect.
years of his career. Yeah. And I don't know someone who says that wasn't in their top two of
Yes.
I hear more and more Bruno Mars is now the second best one as people talk about. But they don't talk about Michael Jackson's Super Bowl performance. They talk about princes.
Oh, but
Yeah.
with Prince too, like he just had that. He really brought that like overt sort of sexiness to pop,
Oh,
and
we haven't even hit. That's another thing. He brought, yeah,
that
he
really took off. I mean, now obviously,
he took it
now
to a
it's
level where,
over.
he got Tipper Gore mad. I mean, yeah. I mean, one of my artists I talked about, he touched on it, but Prince like pushed the buttons with it.
Oh yeah, he
And
did.
he wasn't afraid to, yeah.
No, oh, he's the
And he
best.
didn't give a shit. He didn't give a shit like, oh,
No,
come after me. It's just like, knock me off the record label if you want. I don't care. Yeah, he knew what he wanted to do. Yeah.
oh, 'cause he's Prince, man.
Prince Rogers, yeah.
Um, oh,
Yeah,
love
but you're
him.
right. He is underrated. He didn't get a lot of respect for many years. It changed in the mid 2000s, but and then I think when he died, everyone's like, "Wow, who did we just lose here?" We just lost someone great. Yeah,
My next artist, the note I have is she was sharp,
I knew you'd have
temperamental,
her on here. This is an absolute Dave artist here.
and did not stand for nonsense.
Yep,
However, she lived her values and was an incredibly gifted artist, and that is Nina Simone.
yep.
And I picked Young, Gifted, and Black was the track that I chose. And she was no nonsense, man.
No
Like,
nonsense. Yeah, another one. Not afraid to push it. Yeah,
no. I mean, known to be really temperamental and not really get along with a lot of people, but was very active in the civil rights movement and had some very powerful lyrics about race and civil rights. And I said she took activist music up to 11. Like she was, like there was no beating around the bush when she was singing songs about race and about injustices in race. I mean, Young Gifted Black was um, you know, like a real turning song. I mean, she covered Strange Fruit. Like she had this. She just took the jazz
you.
vocal and just turned it
That's
into like a social activist tool, really.
and did it like yeah, and really did it to like I said, wasn't afraid to push it.
No. It was very much like Billie Holiday, like you talked about earlier. Like there's a lot of similarities between the two.
By the way, a North Carolina girl from the Charlotte area.
Oh,
Nina Simone,
there you
yes.
go.
She was born in a town called Tryon, which is, it's not far from here, but we have a famous street. It's not Nina Simone Street. It's called Tryon, Tryon Street, in Charlotte.
I mean, she has sort of your jazz staples. Like she did Porgy and Bess, and she just all like your
Yeah,
sort of jazz staples. But she also has like Young, Gifted, and Black, Mississippi Goddamn, like a lot of um more social activist songs that kind of that sort of like teeter on kind of folk, really. But oh, like just like surgical with these songs, Coop, just like a scalpel.
she, yeah, she had also a couple other comments. She brought a little bit of a folk element into everything too, which she did. She had a little bit of a folksy style at times. She, I don't know. I think one thing that she did, that people don't know, is she left the U.S. after the King assassination and went to France. And I think that actually broke her second marriage up too. Um, so she really, the second half of her career, she was performing outside the U.S. for the most part. Uh,
Ooh, you froze for a second there, Coop.
oh, I was gonna say, am I back?
Yep.
Yeah, did you hear part about I said to you when she fled the U.S.?
No, yeah, no, you did not hear that, but she
Okay,
did
so let me
flee the
say,
U.S.
so what happened is after the King assassination, she fled the U.S. Like she left the U.S.
Mm,
And after that, I think it broke up her second marriage as well. And for the rest of her career, primarily, she didn't really perform much in the U.S. But she was performing in Africa, Europe, and
yep.
Asia and other places in the Caribbean, but not the U.S. for the most part. But she left afterwards. Yeah,
Oh, great artist. Love Nina Simone.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Lived to 70, so she lived. Could have wished she would have lived a little longer. Yeah.
What do you got next year, Coop?
Well, gotta go James Brown, right?
Oh yeah.
And I got Papa's got a brand new bag, right? Which is just such an iconic song, right? You
Mm,
can't leave James Brown off when you talk about foundation. Now, he's the godfather of soul. I really think he's the godfather of funk, in my opinion. I
yeah.
always he doesn't get known as the godfather of funk. He's the godfather of soul. Um, this was a prototypical song. Papa's Got a New Brand New Bag that would become funk.
Yeah.
This really, I think, was so foundational for funk right now. But it had some of these soul elements in there, and I always say, funk was an offshoot of soul, where you had that gospel doo-wop sound, and now James Brown makes the funk sound off of it, right?
Mm,
And another guy who was just the problem with James Brown is he couldn't stay out of trouble, right? That was the
no,
problem.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
was his problem, right?
Not the
But
best. Had some violence issues with women, Mr. Brown did.
yeah, I'm not excusing him on that. I almost went with a black label cigar this morning. It was a little too strong to do that at 7 in the morning. So, yeah, I didn't do that. Because I would have did. But he died at 73 years old on Christmas Day. I remember that was sad when he died. He had a
Saw him in
third.
concert.
Yeah, you saw him in concert.
Hmm.
Wow, I never saw.
He came out to Australia a long time ago.
I gotta say this. So I didn't love living in America.
Oh,
as a
right.
it's a good
Yeah.
song. I like the song, but it wasn't. It was I don't know. I
Yeah.
love that
Well,
Stallone included him in the movie, and it was a. But it wasn't James. That wasn't Papa's Got a Brand New Bag. That's the James
yeah.
Brown song. I feel good. Those are the James
Yeah.
Brown that I love. Um, and he. The other thing that I think that James Brown did, okay, he found a way to connect with the adult contemporary artist audience rather in later in his career,
All right.
which I think a lot of that's something that I think if Sam Cooke had lived and Nat King Cole lived, Nat King Cole did do it actually through his daughter,
Yeah.
so to speak. But yeah, but I think James Brown really found a way to do that. Um, and like he really connected well with the mainstream audience. And you know um. He had a couple of misses in the 70s, but you know what?
Yeah.
Another great song he picked. He had this song called It's Too Funky in Here, okay? It's a disco
Right.
song. It's a
Hey, there you
go listen,
go.
it's a disco sound. Yeah, he's got. So and it didn't do well for him on the charts, but it was a good song is what I'm gonna say.
There you go.
Yeah.
I got a guy that we don't talk about a lot. I don't know why, but we just don't for whatever reason. It just hasn't come up on the show a whole lot. And that's Jimi Hendrix.
Well, he did almost win the Battle of the Bands for you, but yeah, but we
He
haven't done
did.
it. Yeah. But this is an absolute great pick, and I'm gonna let you take the floor on this one.
So, I mean, you could say a ton of stuff. I could talk about hours and hours of Jimi
All
Hendrix,
right.
but I picked
Yeah.
Little Wing was the song. Paved the way for rock bands like Living Color, TV on the Radio, as well as other bands like would play with Eric Clapton and do all this stuff. And that the thing about it is like he would be playing this rock alongside white artists at the time of like Jim Crow laws, like
Yeah.
really sort of, I guess, just him performing during this time was kind of challenging those things. And I mean, it would have been hard for him on the road. Um, and would do blues covers, would do a lot of stuff. And he, like, I think he and Little Richard, for me, really challenged a largely white genre at the time, which was rock and roll. Like, he was really, because at the
Yeah.
time you're looking at a lot of like British Invasion and then like Jerry Lee Lewis and other people. But Little Richard and Jimi Hendrix are really sort of challenging that at a time where like a lot of the Jim Crow laws that they couldn't even play at some
Yeah.
places, and they were, just them making music and being out there and public were statements in and of themselves. So much like Billie Holiday, like just the bravery of going around and playing at these places and like taking it on
Yeah.
and yeah, so Jimi Hendrix, just a unbelievable artist.
We did and we did also a whole show on Little Richard with Bear, who really knows Little Richard well.
Yeah.
We broke down a lot of that stuff. Bear, who says he's not a music guy, by the way, another guy who
Oh,
broke
yeah. Well,
broke down Little Richard to a great. You're right, and he and Little Richard, you look at what they did, and they challenged the establishment there.
yeah.
Uh, and Jimi Hendrix today, his guitar, it's revered. It's
Oh
revered. He's
yeah.
revered, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, another artist like wait, he was the 27, wasn't he? Like Jimi
Yeah,
Hendrix when he
another one
died?
died. Yeah, a lot of these guys died young, and it's some of it's just not
But
not anyone's fault in some cases.
no, but he yeah, like really paved the way for a lot of rock bands.
Yeah, yeah, and we don't know how he died though. That's the thing. It's very very mysterious how he died.
Mm.
Uh,
But you got your next artist is in the vein of I love this song you picked for your next artist. I'll let you go because I love it. I love
so
this
I thought for
artist.
sure you'd have this guy on there.
I left him for you. I couldn't take everybody.
I think we're gonna do an album archaeology on this, right? I think we have
It's the best album ever recorded, ever made,
this is the best
ever.
song off the album, in my opinion.
Mm.
Um, Marvin Gaye, "Mercy, Mercy Me," the Ecology.
Oh,
All right. We talk about Marvin Gaye. Oh, this guy's a songwriting genius. Another guy. This was tragic. What that whole thing with his father that happened.
yeah.
It broke my heart. That whole story. And uh, you know, when I remember Marvin Gaye died, I was a senior in high school. I believe he was 44 or 45 when he
Yeah, he wasn't
died.
old. No.
44. Yeah. That gunshot wound on April 1st. I
Mm.
call it the shot heard during the world. But Marvin Gaye, another guy, wasn't afraid to tackle the social issues. He tackles the environment here.
Well,
Yeah.
Barry Gordy didn't want to put out the album,
I know he didn't want to put out that album. I mean, yeah.
and it was the best album they ever had.
Barry Gurry, come on. But he did give him the Funk Brothers for this track, right?
Yeah.
Who the Funk Brothers were, they're the most successful musicians of all time. People don't realize because
Oh yeah.
they were session musicians who are all these Motown tracks, right? Um, what he did with this song musically is he took a soul sound and he put this orchestral sound in this track, and you hear this orchestral sound in there, like, and it's unbelievable. It grips you. It's like and he's got a very smooth vocal going in there, and then that sax solo, like
Mm.
genius. That sax solo, it's just this song is absolute pure genius. And again, a guy who wasn't afraid to tackle the issues, and
No.
um, this song, I want to say when this song came out, man, he had to be in his late 20s when he did this song.
Mm. Yeah, would have been.
What's going on? It was 1971. This is he's like 21, 22.
Mm. And
And
the
look,
just yeah.
look at the 22, this is a 22-year-old artist who did this. How
It's
genius. Oh my
he's
God.
on this record, he's talking about the war, he's talking about police brutality, he's talking about poverty. Like it is as socially active as you get.
Right.
And that's why Barry Gordy was so scared of it,
Yeah,
really.
it was. It was.
And he's like, nah, and they put it out and it just sold like unbelievable. It's one of the best albums ever made,
Oh,
ever.
yeah. And then look at what Marvin Gaye did later in his career with Sexual Healing, which was a much
Yeah.
later release. He kind of goes into this. I think he was trying to challenge a little bit of Teddy Pendergrass with that sound. But he
Yeah.
did a great job with it. Where he kind of that's where it was more of an R and that was more of a classic. It was almost a Philadelphia sound what he did with Sexual Healing. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, I mean it's yeah. And at that age, like you said, and
this
writing those songs,
I mean,
that's
the other young guys who were really good. I mean, Prince and George Michael come to mind. The guys that did it in their 20s too.
mm,
But yeah, this is early 20s. He did this in.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a great record.
He
Yeah, we
was,
gotta do that
wasn't
again.
he? He was married to Berry Gordy's sister too. I think for a
Hmm.
while.
Very
So
well,
I don't know
Barry
if
put it
maybe
out in the end, so you
he
know.
put it. We're gonna do a whole. We have this scheduled for album archaeology this year. Where we'll get into the whole story of that album,
Yes.
which is,
Ooh.
like I said, it is such a. I mean, this song. Robert Palmer did a nice cover of this song years later. Wasn't quite as good as Marvin Gaye's, but it was a very nice cover he did of it because I think he kind of tackled it with the same emotion, which was good. But I think Marvin Gaye's is just unbelievable.
Oh.
And he's called the
Uh,
Prince of Soul. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. He could be
Such a good
King of
record.
Soul too. Yeah, but I guess he reverenced the Sam Cooke. Yeah.
My final track, I had to put this artist on. I have Missy Elliott.
Yeah, you have to put her on it, and this is a good. This is another good one.
There wouldn't be without Missy Elliott and Gangsta Boo, there would not be Megan Thee Stallion, Lizzo, Cardi B, and any of the women kind of leading the women movement in hip hop today because of
Which was
her.
an uphill battle. Like you just talked about that earlier.
I mean, you look at her, Queen Latifah, Gangsta Boo, like just having and Missy especially like embracing aggressive sexual lyrics and woman power in her song, really turning hip hop on its head, which was largely like men, you know, having really aggressive sexual lyrics. He's like, well, how about me? And Gangsta Boo did the same thing, and it really paved the way for all the music we're getting now in this sort of golden age of women in hip hop now is really laid. The foundation was laid by her, um, by originally her, Queen Latifah, and Gangsta Boo, and then Lauryn Hill to some extent,
Yeah,
really paved the way for that.
yeah,
So you gotta. So the Missy Elliott song I have is "Past the Dutch," and Missy, she had she was putting out a lot of albums, and then had some. I think she had some like fatigue syndrome or something, and just wasn't recording as much, and then like was putting out EPs here and there. Now she features on songs here and there, so it's always good to hear from her. But Missy Elliott just is inspiring a lot of generations of music
yeah,
with her stuff. This is early. This is like early 2000s or something.
yep.
But they had to have Missy on here.
You had to have
And
that.
and now we got your heavy hitter at the end here, Coop.
Yeah. Um, I'll just say Stevie Wonder's Superstition. Stevie
Fabulous
Wonder,
song.
Stevie Wonder is 74. And he's had a long career. But this song became a very much an influence, I think, in the rock era, and I'll talk about that.
Yes.
Yeah. Where and I always called Stevie Wonder the one man band. Is really what he
Mm,
was. He did a lot of like the instruments and stuff, and he was really as good as the one man band as could be. This is a funky jam, okay?
yes.
And in a lot of ways, what the Grateful Dead were doing with jams, you have Stevie Wonder was doing it a little different, not necessarily doing the long tracks or anything like that, but the sound was very funky and you could jam with it. And I'll talk about it 'cause that became there. Um, and it's a song about superstitions, right? So it's not very complex in terms of lyrically,
No.
but Stevie Wonder delivered a song that connected with the rock audience with this.
Yes.
So much so, Jeff Beck would cover this song multiple times. Stevie Ray Vaughan
Stevie
did
Ray
this
Vaughan.
song.
That's probably the most famous cover, I think.
Oh, it's a yeah, and then even there's a jam band who's popular in the U.S. They're not necessarily at the level of Fish. The Widespread Panic cover it.
Oh, all right.
Maybe the
Okay.
best, but
Yeah.
yeah. So the jam bands have into Stevie Wonder, in my opinion, he this another one who really connected with found a way to get his sound and connect with the wider audience. Now, unfortunately, I think Part Time Lover and I just called to say I love you didn't
Yeah.
do it for me, right? But yeah, I mean,
That's
and
funny.
he had that streak in the '70s with the three albums. You remember we
Yeah.
do, yeah. I mean, which was unbelievable as well. So yeah, I think Superstition is the most important one that he did. Not necessarily like he's hit social things and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but this one was important. I think from a genre standpoint, where that
Yeah.
sound he took it. And I think this song will always be. I don't think it will ever get lost either. With this, is what I'm gonna
Oh
say.
no.
Yeah, I think it'll be. I think it'll still be covered long after he's gone.
Underrated Stevie Wonder, I think.
Yeah, real under Dave. He is underrated because after that, he had that in the '70s. He wasn't, but I think he in the '80s he kind of fell off. And really, then he started coming back as a collaborator. I thought he was gonna have a new album a couple years ago. He didn't. He put out a few songs, but not a new album.
The best is it the We Are the World where they're trying to get Stevie and they're trying to get him?
Yeah.
And then like out of nowhere he just shows up. He's like,
It-
I'm here. It's like Stevie time. Like I felt like doing it now, so let's do it.
how about that the part with him and Springsteen?
Oh yeah.
How about that part in We Are the World? Which in my opinion, that and then yeah, and you got Dylan in there too. I mean, but Stevie Wonder was a big part of that We Are the World song. He
Oh,
just shows up. Yeah,
he's just like they try to get him like
yeah.
couldn't
But
get him good, and he just shows up. He's like, it gets done on Stevie time. I felt like coming in now, so let's do it.
I I
Uh,
I'm surprised that there wasn't more homage paid to the. This is the 40th anniversary of We Are the World this year, by the way.
all right.
Yeah. So maybe we do something with that later in the year. But if we have a show, I think it will be a good one because we talk about some of the artists that were in there. I think I just said I always get asked for my dad was not didn't drive anyone because that was an LA thing, is what I tell people.
Well, that was all. It was all like planned under the dark of night. Like it was like let's just do it now. It was crazy.
There's so much drama with that. Like Prince, they tried to get Prince, and he didn't wouldn't do it, but then he gives them a song. Brian Adams did a song, contributed one as well for the album. The album actually was a pretty good album. There were other tracks on it that they did. There
Prince wouldn't do it because of Michael.
he wouldn't do it because of Michael. I think Prince, but I always say this. I think that if that was 30 years later, there wouldn't have been an issue, especially if the Michael
Yeah.
died. But I think that they would have did it. I think they would have gotten together and did it.
The best is like you got to see the documentary if you haven't.
It's amazing. It's an amazing
But
document.
like Michael is crazy and talking about his monkey or whatever,
Yeah,
and then like brings a snake in or something,
yeah,
and then like he just does the whole thing in like two takes or whatever,
yeah.
and he's like, "Is that good? I'm done." It was,
Yeah. I didn't
and it's
include.
incredible.
Yeah, I didn't include Quincy Jones on this list. We just did some stuff with Quincy Jones a few times, and but the other thing, I think Quincy's was a little different. He was more, yes, he did some music, but his was on the production end. He did the things. But Quincy was key. It was a key part of We Are the World too, and he has a small vocal in there as well.
No,
He's like
so
he's like the leader. Yeah, he kind of becomes the leader in that. Yeah.
well, this gets to final thoughts, Coop. How did you find the exercise putting stuff together?
It was really good. I think when we do this again next year, I'm gonna kind of update it. I don't know. We may spin it a different way. I don't know how we're gonna spin it,
Might have to
but
do two
I didn't really
shows.
get into the disco artists and things
Yeah,
that
I had to
happened
leave a
in.
lot off. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of said I wanted to pay a lot of homage to the foundational people because, yeah, in each song I tried to look at things that would be things that the next generations and generations would follow with that, and I hope I kind of gave some insights into that tonight and or today, however we want to put it. But yeah, so this was I really enjoyed it. It got me listening to some music I probably haven't my Spotify playlist. I'm gonna see how it went with it because I
Oh
played a
yeah.
lot of these songs over and over again. Some of yours I did play as well. So
Well, I
yeah,
think the thing is too, like you realize like the sort of impact it had on
yeah,
music going forward, like
yeah,
the ripple effect, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah.
Now, how's the cigar, Coop?
So I really am enjoying this cigar. It's a stronger cigar. It's probably because it's the morning for me. It's feeling a little stronger. It's almost like there's some nicotine hitting me with this, but I'm sure it's because it's early and I don't remember the nicotine hitting me like this. It's got this baking spice with it. Tails off a little in the final there, but not that I'm gonna put the thing down. I'm gonna give this the Phil Collins rating of don't lose my number. Don't forget
There
about
you
this song.
go.
Don't
Yeah.
forget about this cigar. It's a good cigar to pick up, and kind of again we've talked about under the radar and stuff, but I think don't lose my number is the rating for this one.
Huh.
And I
I'm
will be
about
doing a
that.
Phil Collins rating every time we smoke a cigar now going
Oh, we
forward.
got it. I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah, yeah.
I'm about this far. I mean, there's not much I can say about the Padrón 64
I love
anniversary
the
that has been
diplomatic. That was
said.
his hard size to get for a while too. So yeah.
It's an iconic cigar. I mean, this in the 26, I think, are
Well,
iconic cigars.
yeah, and the third is the family reserve, but they're more limited. But yeah, this Diplomatico is I love that size. That and
It
exclusive.
has a it has more strength than I remember. It's got a good kick, but it has this. I love the cigar, but it has this cherry note, Coop, that I just
That's
love.
when you get a good 64, it's that cherry note, and when you don't get that
Oh,
cherry note, it's the 60. That's the problem with that is the cherry note ages out as the cigar gets older.
but it
So
has this cherry note. I mean, it's more pronounced. in the
It's
first two
A
thirds.
Bing
Like it is
cherry. It's like that Bing
good.
cherry where it's got that sweetness but a little tartness with it as well.
Oh, it
Yeah.
is very good.
Yeah.
But it's performing well still for such a big cigar. Um, but it's got like a classic finish. Like you got your classic leather and earth, and but it's that cherry note that I love in
Yeah.
this cigar.
And when you get that cherry note into 64, then, like I said, 64 is a cigar. Don't sit on those. You got to
No.
smoke them. You got to smoke them quick. Yeah.
Oh.
Because that it
Um,
will age out, and then it really you haven't aged out 64 without that cherry note. It's unfortunately it's going to lose a lot. Yeah.
yeah, but that cherry note, ooh, it's worth
Yep.
it.
Yep.
Uh, and we're at the Cigar Hustler 45, even though we've been talking about him the whole show. But
Hold on.
Cigar Hustler, Deltona, Florida, check him out, or you can go to cigarhustler.com, pick him up online. You can pick up some Padrón 64s like I did. Pick up their catastrophic failure, which I have done.
Really good cigar. Yeah. By the way, don't sleep on that one, guys. Get it.
And the number one on Half Wheel, that Mastranza, they have it in a sampler. So they also have this CAO sampler coupe with the Amazon and like some of the
They're doing some nice
60s.
things with the samplers. I got to give them credit on that. They're coming up with some, and I think it was a creative way they did with putting that cigar, the half wheel one, on there. Um, because they didn't throw duds in there. I thought
No.
that's why if you want to get that, you're not going to get duds. Plus, you're going to get a cigar that half wheel thought was really good. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I got to give them
And
credit on that. Yeah.
you should put out Mike, I'm talking to you. Shepankevich, I'm talking to you, my friend,
Yes.
my Polish brother. You need to put out a Pastania sampler. Like you got enough now. Put out a good sampler.
I
Do it.
saw them lining up on social media, and I think Palmer
Do
did
it.
this. And I pick on Palmer a lot, but I thought it was great how he lined up the four core lines in
Yes.
that photo, and it's you got a Habano, a broadleaf, you got the Connecticut now, the
Connecticut.
San Andreas ANDRES. So um, and I like I said, the question I have for them is I really want to know is what's going to happen with the broadleaf because again, I from Nika Sueño, they had to stop making Cro-Magnon broadleaf, so I actually want to get some broadleafs and kind of stock up on some because I don't know what the future
Yeah,
is
you
with that.
should.
It's a question. Maybe they found a way to get it. I don't know, so I don't want to put words. But when I hear that they were having trouble getting it for the Cro-Magnon, I worry a bit. So
I'm
yeah,
going to stock up on that, and I'm going to buy a ton of the San Andreas when it comes because the band looks phenomenal,
yeah,
and I want to get it.
yeah.
So
I already
if
know
you
what
want to,
cigar. I already know what cigar I'm pairing with that when I smoke it.
ooh, if
ABC. I
so,
already
if
know
you
that.
want,
Oh, that's what I'm pairing that one with that. That's gonna be. I can tell you that.
there you go. If you want to get some of those wonderful cigars, be sure to get on their email list because they'll email those what they got out. And be sure to go to cigarhustler.com and buy them. They have some great cigars. Still got some of the Saka Lancero sampler that was very good
Yeah,
that
yeah.
people should check out.
When I smoked out of there, it was really good. And then our friend Kevin Shahan from Cigar Prop, he actually did a video where he goes through the whole sampler. He
I have
doesn't
to
do it in
check that
one
out.
take, but he smoked every cigar in the sample. He didn't like the one I liked actually. It was kind of funny. So I'm wondering if some of these other Lanceros are even better because
Ooh.
Kevin knows his Saka stuff is what I'm gonna say.
Well, the Candela one's great, Steve. So feel free to put more of those out. Um,
I
New
haven't heard people
music.
buzzing about it, but we'll see. Yeah, you the only one.
I am Steve.
Yeah,
Me.
yeah,
You s- you you make news when you hire a sales rep. You put out a Candela, it's gonna sell.
yeah,
All right.
yeah,
So just do
yeah,
it
yep.
so I can buy some.
Yep.
Or you can send me some, whatever you want. Or send some to Coop to send me some, whatever works for you. Um, side A. So side A, I have the weekend. Weekend has new album out, Coop.
Yeah, it's kind of good timing with the whole Super Bowl weekend was an act.
It is. We got the weekend. We got Cry for Me, which is off of his new record, Hurry Up Tomorrow. What I like about this song, Coop, is it's back to that sort of old school weekend. Great
Yes.
vocals. It's got some sharp, dirty synth on it. I
The
love
30
it. It's
cents,
kind of
yeah,
back to that
yeah,
old sound, if you
I
really
agree.
like that.
I agree.
So if you're a weekend fan, check that out. Um, and there is a hip hop artist, JPEG Mafia.
Yes, I actually
He
listen.
did a record with Danny Brown that did well on the list last year. He has a track called Jordan Rules. It's sort of like if you listen to Death Grips, which I don't know
Right,
if anyone here has ever listened to,
right.
but what it is, it's sort of like if you mixed hip hop with like aggressive synth metal, that's sort of what it's like. Um,
Yeah,
and this is
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So you got this like, yeah. Oh, go ahead, Coop.
No, I agree with you 100% because I did listen to this track as well.
It's got this like synth metally discordant sound and this hip hop over it. So if you like Death Grips, you'll love it. I liked it. Check it out, JPEG Mafia. And Album Archaeology, I got, if you're gonna hate, listen to the album. Beyonce's Cowboy Carter, Album Archaeology homework. Just have a listen.
Have a listen.
Just have a listen.
That's all you have to do. If you want to, like I said, give me something tangible if you're gonna knock it.
I mean,
Because it was,
16 Carriages, perfect country song.
yeah,
Come on.
Jolene's on there.
Jolene's on there.
Jolene's on there.
Dolly Parton's on it.
Yeah,
Willie Nelson's on it. Linda Mantrell on the record.
yep.
Have a listen.
And
It's
I
good
think
stuff.
I think it's good stuff. I think it was, you know, the Country Music Awards is gonna be the big test here with this. So we'll see how that does. I don't know what
Well,
that
when
is.
she did Daddy Lessons, she was on it. So it'll be interesting to see if she's on it again.
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah, yeah.
I
That's
mean, if she goes on it and performs like she did at that halftime show, that's all you need.
They should have saved that one for the Super Bowl. The more I
She
think
came out
about
on
it,
a horse.
I know it was. I know they did it for the Houston game and all that, and I think part of that was to pay homage to the city of Houston. So I kind of understand why they did. But yeah, it
I'm
was.
glad
I
they
mean,
had it at all.
I think that's gonna be more talked about that performance than Kendrick's will be. Well, it will depend what Kendrick if he drops the bomb or not, and we'll know that
Oh,
by the time you listen. You know if he dropped the bomb or not.
he's gonna. I don't know.
Well, you see, yeah. We'll
But
see.
yeah, that's all I got, Coop.
That's all I got as well. This was a great show.
Oh,
So yeah, I want to thank our audience as well. Thanks for everything. Stay tuned for our social media. We'll announce when the next show is. I know I'm traveling. Dave's got a couple things going on, so probably later in the month for
yep.
sure. But we will get something in, and we have a lot of stuff lined up for 2025. So it's a busy year we're gonna have on the jukebox for sure.
It's great.
Yep. But that is going to wrap up Primetime Jukebox episode 152 into the annals of history for this post big game Super Bowl edition, post Grammy edition. We'll catch everybody on the B side. Take care, everybody.